And we're
What's up,
live.
everybody? It's the draft day, and we're really excited to get this going. We can't wait to see what the 49ers do here today. Pure excitement. I'm just hoping as a defensive player. There's rumors it could be an offensive tackle. I'm praying. I'm praying. It's a defensive end by the name of Jalen Walker.
Man, there's a lot of crazy rumors out there right now. There's rumors of tight end, like there's rumors of that Tyler Warren guy, couple different tackles. I'm excited.
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, the 49ers do a good thing if they go defense in any way. We're talking defensive tackle, and that means trading back or, staying at the 11th spot and going DN with Jalen Walker. I'm happy either way. The only thing that leaves me upset is if the 49ers go tackle first round. I know Calvin Banks is an incredible tackle and probably brings a lot that the 49ers need. It's just if we're going to return two offensive tackles this year, and it looks like that's going to happen, I'm sure you can't trust Trent Williams will be there all year. But the fact they're going to start the season, I don't think you go first round pick there.
I agree. I don't think so either. I think drafting a tackle will just be saying you're preparing for 2026, and I don't like that. No Niner fan wants to think about next year. We're thinking about this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of excitement behind this draft.
Yeah,
It's funny. There's been a lot of past drafts where you're excited, but you're not really into it as much as this one. It seems like this one because of how important it is. We
yeah,
almost know all the players, which is it's not common for me at least. I don't really focus on college players as much as I have this time around, and it's because of how big of a draft it is for the 49ers.
all right. I mean, today will just be a little taste, but the first round pick is probably your most important pick. This is the one that we cannot afford to miss. You got to get a stud player right here, right now. You got to get a plug and play player that's ready to start right away.
Yeah, the best thing the 49ers can do is obviously hit on their first round draft pick, and he's got to be a difference maker. There's difference makers in the first round. We got to make sure we get the one that benefits us the most.
Yeah,
And to me, if Jalen Walker happens to be gone before 11th overall pick comes around, I'm not against trading back and getting another pick in the draft and trading back to like 17 or 18, and you still land a Derek Harmon or Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, any one of those guys. I, in the list, I would go Derek Harmon, then Walter Nolan. But I mean, if you get any one of those guys, I'm pretty confident that the 49ers have hit in the first round pick.
I agree.
The rumors are that the 49ers could possibly take Banks. I'm hoping that that's not true. I'm really interested to see what the Browns do. Are the Browns going to actually go Travis Hunter, or are they going to go Shador Sanders? I think they need to go quarterback, but at the end of the day, if they don't believe in Shador, Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter makes sense at two.
I think there's a strong possibility that Shador falls way out of the out of top 20. I'm not gonna lie, but the third option you didn't mention is why not take Abdul Carter and have a nasty pass rush with him and Miles Garrett. I wouldn't write that off as a possibility. That would be fun to watch.
No, I don't disagree. It's just the thing is, the Browns are at a point in their organization where they got to, restructure, they're like redoing it all at this point. They got to find a quarterback, and without a quarterback, it's hard to do well in the NFL. So I think the Browns need to address quarterback. So if they feel like Shador Sanders is not worthy of taking their second overall pick, is it smart to trade back and then take a quarterback and get more draft picks?
Right, it's true.
It's something that I think they should consider as opposed to just yeah, what you're saying is true. You get Abdul Carter and you add him to Miles Garrett. That's big
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
The
man.
quarterback's going to be under duress. That's a fact. But do you really want to do that and address that part of your team as opposed to a quarterback? I'm not against it. I mean, if I'm a Browns fan, I wouldn't be against getting Abdul Carter.
The problem is the quarterback that's on the table. I don't think is worth it at all for a second round pick. I don't think it's worth it. The guy, don't get me wrong. He has upside. Like he could be good. He could be a good starter.
If
Do I
if
see
the
him?
if the Browns can get a second round pick and they trade, say, with the Steelers, you don't think so? The Steelers are at 21. So you're getting a first round pick that replaces your second round pick, but you're getting an additional pick in the second round. And if you don't believe in Shador, I mean, yeah, it's true. Like if you don't believe in Shador, then go defense heavy. I don't know. And you can also get a quarterback like, where is Dart going to land? Is he going to be a first round pick? That's a big question. I think that's somebody that they could take a chance on as long as it's not too early.
Yeah. I don't know. I would wait for Jackson Dart later in the draft.
Let's get back to the 49ers, though. Is there a possibility the 49ers trade Brock Purdy in this draft?
I mean, I think there's a possibility. That's a ballsy move. And the front office has done some ballsy things before if we're talking about Trey Lance. So
I mean, are the Browns off the table trading for Brock Purdy, or the Giants? Are they off the table? Is this a possibility? Is it something that could happen? And, they would probably feel like they've addressed that position if they did make a trade for Brock Purdy.
Right. It's just, the problem is I would have to see what the Browns would be willing to do. I don't know if they're willing to just give up the second overall pick straight up. Like, would we have to give up a second round pick on top of Brock Purdy to get that? I don't know. I initially I thought Brock Purdy's well worth just like a top 5 pick straight up, but
I think if you traded Brock Purdy to the Steelers for the 21st overall pick, I think that's a no-brainer. The Steelers would do it.
The reason I have Steelers off the table is I just don't think the Steelers would be interested because they know something that we also know, and that's Brock Purdy does not play good in bad weather.
That's true.
So I don't think the Steelers would be interested. The Browns, you could make a similar argument, but
New York gets some bad weather as the year goes on, so it's like the next best option would be probably the New Orleans Saints or the New York Jets. But again, the Jets deal with some weather problems, but the Saints, that's a dome team, and that's definitely a team that's not exactly happy with their quarterback and Derek Carr. And if they feel like they could upgrade their quarterback position, would they be willing to give up the 9th overall pick? And maybe the Niners have to add something with Brock Purdy in order to get that. I mean, I don't write this off right now. I really believe the 49ers have a chance of trading Brock Purdy. And the reason why I say that is I know for a fact the Niners had every intention of having Brock Purdy signed by April 15th. And he's still not signed. So it makes you wonder, what's causing this to happen. There's obviously a difference in, contract dispute here that the 49ers don't believe he's worth what him and his agent believe he's worth. So something is causing this hiccup, and I believe they're asking too much. And the 49ers, if they actually believe that Purdy is not going to settle, today is a possibility that we see a crazy move.
Right. The reason that's turning me away from a Brock Purdy trade possibility is the fact that he did show up to OTAs. Like that's something that he just straight up does not have to do, but he chose to do. So I don't know. Maybe the contract negotiations are getting somewhere. Maybe they're finding some common ground.
It's funny. When I heard that Brock Purdy, is at the OTAs or he's going to attend or whatever, I find it like, if you're really trying to negotiate a contract, and this is an optional type thing, you're really not doing yourself a good service and showing up. I mean, he's got to hold out and believe that he's going to get what he's asking. But when he does that, it's almost like he doesn't even believe he's going to get it. And
it's true.
So now that maybe the 49ers are in the driver's seat, and maybe they are going to be able to sign him to what they're hoping for. And Brock Purdy isn't, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe that whole thing about the Mac Jones stepping onto the field before him did scare him.
Yeah, I've always believed that. I don't think he wants to give Mac Jones. I mean, this is a classroom type of thing, OTAs. It's not really on the field, and something that small has intimidated him. Maybe, I don't know, but for sure, he knows it's not beneficial for him in his negotiations to be showing up. We're getting close. We're only 5 minutes away from the first pick.
Matt Jones says there's a copyright. What would that do? What would a
What's that?
copyright do?
Say that
Match
again?
Sports says we could get a copyright for streaming this. What would that even do?
Yeah, you probably can't technically stream the actual thing. Yeah, you should probably kill that. Because I don't think you are actually allowed to do that. We'll just have to watch it on our own, and then we can talk about it all we want. Which does make sense.
Yeah. Well, we are close. What time is it?
Is
4
it
minutes.
100% that the Titans are taking Cam Ward?
It's hard to say 100% on anything. We've seen some crazy stuff happen in the draft, but I think it's safe to say they're taking him. Yeah. I think he's a player who's like he actually has a pretty tall ceiling, so it makes sense to take a chance on a guy like him. I think Cam Ward's gone, and then I think it's probably Travis Hunter, but I would not be shocked if it's
So let's predict our first round, like the first 10 picks before their 49ers. I think at 1, I think it's pretty clear that the Titans are going to take Cam Ward. It would be pretty crazy if they didn't. And then at 2, I think it's a very good possibility it's Abdul Carter, but I think it'll be Travis Hunter. Either way, you take your poison. 2 and 3 are going to be one of those two guys, I think.
You're right.
So
I agree.
If Hunter goes 2, Abdul Carter goes 3, or whatever, the other way around, then at 4, this is where it could get interesting.
All right. This is where a lot of people got the Patriots taking Will Campbell, or who knows if they like Calvin Banks more.
I think there's a possibility that they take Membu.
That's a possibility too. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say they take O line. But if they were to go away from O line, who do they take?
If they go away from O line, I think the best chance outside of O line would be probably Will Johnson or Jalen Walker.
I think Will Johnson. I don't know if Will Johnson is going before Barron. And
I do. I do.
Well, I watched it. I do like Will Johnson more. After I watched both,
I think Will Johnson's the lockdown corner of this draft outside of Travis Hunter.
I agree. But a lot of mock drafts got Will Johnson going later. I don't know.
We'll see.
It's hard to.
I would like to think the Patriots are going to go tackle, and people saying that Gray Zabel is going to sneak up into this draft all the way up into the top 10 would be kind of crazy for me. But if it happened, that would be pretty crazy.
I'm just hoping by pick number 11, Shedeur Sanders and maybe Ashton Jeanty are available.
If Shedeur Sanders is available and so is Jalen Walker, what do?
You take Jalen Walker. Unless some crazy trade comes through the phone, I think you have to take Jalen Walker if he's there. I think it's a massive mistake. Like, we already know that Jalen Walker fills 2 needs for the Niners defense. So I think he's the man. He's the perfect pick for us this year.
Okay, so we can put the sound on. We just can't stream it. So
okay,
for each pick, we can just play the sound.
Okay. I wonder how we would do that, though.
Can you hear that? No.
I wonder if we just put that video on the screen, literally as Goodell's saying his pick.
Actually, I know how we can do it. Okay. So, who do you think is going to go at 5? Let's say Membu or Will Campbell go at 4.
Okay, at 5, we got the Jags. Now, a very interesting rumor just came out that the Jags are like extremely, extremely high on Ashton Genty. And not only that, they're like, I don't know who exactly made the statement, but they said that they believe that he's the piece that they're missing to complete whatever. I don't know what that means because they're far away. They're far from a complete team. But yeah, the report is they're really high on Ashton Genty. That would shock me. And that might hurt the Raiders because I think if he doesn't go there, he's going to the Raiders. But Ashton Genty is a possibility there now after reading that. If it's not Ashton Genty, the Jays need so many players. Who is there? The Will Johnson or Barron could go there. Another the Banks could go there. Another O lineman could go there.
Yeah, I could see an O lineman going there. I could see Genty. I could see. I don't think Will Johnson falls out of the top 10. I really don't believe he does, and I'm not convinced Barron goes in the top 10.
Another player that seems like it would make sense there is Mason Graham. I mean, he's gonna go top 10. We might not agree with it, but he's going top 10.
That's true. That's 100%
So,
true.
Yeah, I can see Mason Graham going there.
Yeah, I actually forgot about Mason Graham.
Yeah. And then number 7 or 6 would be the Raiders. If they go G&T there or they go O-line there.
So Daniel Jeremiah has Jalen Walker ranked as number 5 best player in the draft.
It's crazy, man. He shot up. Shot up quick. But he's nasty.
Yeah, so if the 49ers lose out on Jalen Walker and he ends up going earlier, that would suck. But I still believe there's other options. I think Mikael Williams is an option, and I think Mike Green is an option. Mike Green had some issues off the field, but on the field he had 17 sacks last year. That's something that's hard to ignore. And if you watch the tape, it's he's a big man. He looks like a guy that's hard to deal with.
Yeah, he looks like a day one NFL player. Mike Green, I think it's easy to move past his off the field stuff. I mean,
there's still Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart is a guy that's pretty interesting in the sense that he didn't get a lot of sacks. But the one thing with Shamar Stewart is I believe he led college football in pressures. So he's that type of player that's having an issue completing the play or finishing the sack, but getting there has not been an issue for him. And I really believe if you get some NFL players around him that close the pocket and he's able to continue to get those pressures, that those will lead to sacks in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But hopefully that problem just doesn't keep going because the Niners do have a problem with getting to the quarterback and then not taking him down. But then again, that's something that's easily taught. Like I feel like that wouldn't be hard to complete a sack. Just make an effort for it. I don't know. If you're getting to the quarterback, I don't see why you can't really bring him down.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is strange but we did see it with Nick Bosa in his rookie year. He was a guy that was able to get pressure to the quarterback. He had an issue completing the sack. He did get 9, but he could have had a lot more that year as a rookie. And it's something that's common as DMs. You see that all the time where a guy can get a lot of pressure and not a lot of sacks. Like another guy is Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, I think his best career year in the NFL is 14 sacks, but what he does on the field is a lot better than 14 sacks.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Roger Goodell is out right now. Looks like they're about to put the Tennessee Titans on the clock.
People said that Green Bay was too small for this population of 107,000. Some people here still counting.
I think it's safe to say this is guaranteed
Obviously,
Cam Ward.
Green Bay may be
Yeah.
small, but it's mighty. Thank you all for welcoming us here tonight, and hope you have a great few days.
Man, it's going crazy over there. The fans of this is a highly anticipated draft. It's pretty exciting right now to be an NFL fan.
Over the next 3 days, we will welcome in the next generation of stars into the NFL and bring hope to every NFL team. And we may have a few surprises for you tonight. But first, let's hear from some of your Packer greats. Please welcome Clay Matthews,
Clay Matthews.
Yeah.
Mason Crosby,
Clay Matthews and Mason Crosby.
and
They were fun to watch.
Wayne.
And they got Lil Wayne up there.
I'm going to go off script here real quick, Roger, but I just got off the phone with the president, Donald Trump. He asked me to pass two franchises. So let me tell you what it reads here, all right?
It's pretty exciting.
Fellow Americans, the Bears still suck.
The Bears still suck. I don't know. This year could be the year for the Bears to finally do something in that division. They're in a really tough division.
And they got the 9th overall pick, dude. Yo, anyway, we can hear the audio of the draft pick any better. Could you get that any louder, son?
How's that?
It's time to get the show started.
Can only hear it a little bit.
Really?
The 2025 NFL draft
That's
is now
better.
officially open.
There we go. Let's go.
All right. So, I don't know if that was the first surprise that Roger Goodell was in store. Illinois, not a swing state. So, here we go.
Okay, so
That's
the
on the clock.
we gotta believe that they're gonna take Cam Ward here. Number 2 is gonna be the exciting pick. I still think there's a chance there's a trade that happens. I really believe there.
And you're just hoping it involves the Niners.
30 seconds
Yeah, if the
in.
49ers move up and somehow trade Brock Purdy to the Browns, that would be exciting. But it is true. The Browns
Move the phone away while you're talking.
the Browns know that the 49ers quarterback has an issue in bad weather, and it's definitely not the right fit.
Yeah, I agree. Like that's what's hard about Purdy. We're trying to trade. The reality is we're trying to trade a guy and get we're trying to get stuff in return that would come from trading an elite quarterback. He's not elite. So that's probably turning them away from the trade as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you can get a quarterback that you can start and feel confident that he'll be consistent, it is technically worth at least a second-round pick. It's not crazy to expect a middle-round, first-round pick. It's really not. There's not enough good quarterbacks in the NFL. You got 15 quarterbacks that you could probably win a Super Bowl with, and maybe only 4 that you can rely on them winning you the Super Bowl. So Brock Purdy's one of those quarterbacks that you can win with. And I genuinely believe that. And I think the NFL, a lot of teams believe that. You just can't win it strictly off of him. And he's proven that. But he was so close to winning a Super Bowl. I mean, they went to overtime against possibly the greatest quarterback of our era. So I mean, at the end of the day, you could easily make an argument that they could get a first round pick. Maybe they'll have to add something to Brock Purdy in order to get that first round pick, especially if it's early. But to say that the 49ers couldn't trade him, I think that's kind of crazy. I don't think the Browns would. I think the Browns would listen to that phone call, and I think a lot of teams would.
Yeah, I agree. But, oh man. Okay, so Cam Ward's going here.
Quarterback friendly for someone like Cam Ward. And Cam Ward through the process coming into the season. You're
He hasn't got the phone call yet. That would be crazy if they went Abdul Carter. That would really shake things up if they don't go quarterback.
It would really shake things up. But the thing is, I think me, probably you, and a lot of other people would agree that Abdul Carter is the true number one player of this draft.
Yeah, so if Abdul Carter goes one, then you have to believe that the Browns are going to go Cam Ward. And if they don't, and they go Travis Hunter, Cam Ward falling down to 3, it'd be pretty wild.
If he gets out of top 3, no, I guess the Giants would take him at 300%. So he can't get out of top 3. But once you're out of top 3, it's the Patriots that don't want a quarterback, the Jags that don't want a quarterback. You'd have to fall down to 6, the Raiders, who just paid Geno Smith. So are they taking trade phone calls?
The phone call is coming in right now, so
yeah.
They should probably put the camera on Cam Ward, and then you'll be able to know or not if he's going.
I think they'll purposely not put the camera on him. I think they purposely don't do that.
Well, they purposely had it on him
before the phone call.
Yeah, before the phone call to raise some questions.
In the meantime, Daniel, let's take a look at some tape of Cam Ward. Yeah, this is going to be fun tape to watch.
They're showing Cam Ward. I'm pretty sure they had some good intel that Cam Ward will go number 1. The only thing I don't like about Cam Ward is he's only 6'1". I don't like that.
Yeah.
But because he has the mobility and the strength.
Yeah, he's got a strong arm.
That'll help that height. He'll be able to buy time, find seams through the line to throw the ball.
Start talking about things that need to clean up. There's times he's just trying to do a little extra, trying to make that special play, which is.
It still says they're on the clock. It has not been confirmed that the pick is in yet. So it looks like the pick is officially in.
Yeah, I would want to see Cam Ward here. It would actually be bad for us, I think, if Cam Ward drops. 49ers have an option to trade up. The question is how much would they have to give in order to get up? And who would they like outside of Brock Purdy? I don't think a trade's possible. I don't agree with this trading into the top 6. No. The only way you trade into the top 6 is if you're trading Brock Purdy and an additional pick. I don't believe in trading our 11th pick and additional picks. Niners need to stack up in this draft.
Just the simple problem is there's no player there outside of the top 3 that makes it worth it. Like, don't get me wrong, Jalen Walker's an absolute stud, but if you know for a fact that he's going before 11, I'm not willing to give up any extra.
I still think guys like Mikael Williams, Mike Green, I just believe that those are good options for the same job. Obviously, Jalen Walker is the better one, I think, anyway, and also the fact that he can play linebacker and he runs a 4.4. Those are all reasons why you'd get excited to get Jalen Walker. Especially like the 49ers losing Greenlaw. If this guy can play first and second down at linebacker and then move his way down to the edge on third down, you could put an extra edge player at D tackle and run one D tackle as a pass rusher. That is ultimately what you would want as a 49er defense. But Jalen Walker is the best fit, but there are other options if he's gone.
Okay, here's Roger Goodell. About to announce the pick.
Team of the Tennessee Titans to the University of Miami Pro Day to record everything, and that's not to just hand off.
That is Cam Ward.
So it's now time for the commissioner of the National Football League to come out.
That's
Did
what we
already
all
go?
expected.
Oh,
Yeah,
you already did it?
yeah.
I missed it. Yeah, that's what we all expected. Cam Ward.
Yep. Cam Ward, number one.
I think everybody's seen that coming. Cam Ward is the right pick for the Tennessee Titans.
I agree. Maybe they got their quarterback now.
Or do they? You don't know. That's the thing. I'm not the type of guy to jump up and go crazy over drafting a quarterback in the first round. We've seen so many of them bust. You don't know really, especially a 6'1" quarterback. It's always dangerous when a quarterback is not 6'3" or more, taking them first round, if you ask me.
I agree. Like at the end of the day, when you think of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL today, they're all massive human beings. Cam Ward's just not that. You're taking a gamble. Like
Yeah, the NFL's seen some success at 6'1" quarterbacks. Like Russell Wilson comes to mind, Drew Brees, and lately Brock Purdy's been a pretty good quarterback. But I just don't know why, if you're going to invest, typically the way you got to look at it is you're investing your franchise for the next 3-4 years in Cam Ward right now. And Cam Ward is 6'1", so you're going to need him to play like Russell Wilson played in order to be effective, I think. And that means buying a lot of time and finding a wide open guy by, blowing up the play and turning it into backyard football. And Russell Wilson was so effective at that. I always think back to the Niners when they battled them, and that defense was so stacked. But he was able to buy time, and it made a good defense not look so good, really.
Right. The scary thing about these quarterbacks are, like, you think of guys like Drew Brees and Russell Wilson and their success in the NFL and how rare that is. Now, it's rare to have success in the NFL as a quarterback, period. But if you cut the height down, you're taking a chance. Like Brock Purdy is a smaller guy, and he's getting now keep in mind Brock Purdy has weak arm strength. So if you combine that with his height and his stature, he's at the ceiling of what he could do in the NFL, in my opinion. And it's still not elite. So if you're taking a guy like Cam Ward, who's a smaller guy, it helps that he has a bigger arm than Brock Purdy, but that ceiling is just scary.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, and the other thing is that you don't know for sure is until he really gets on an NFL field and competes against NFL players, how it's going to really work out. His arm strength and his physical ability is there. It's just I don't like picking a guy that's 6'1", like I say, as your franchise for the next 3-4 years, especially first overall, because at the end of the day, he's up against it. Your O linemen are all way bigger than you. You got 6'5" guards now in the NFL. He's got to look over that.
Hold on, Sal. I think we missed something. Jacksonville is on the clock here at second overall. And Cleveland now has the 5th overall pick, so we missed a trade here.
So Jacksonville looks like they're going to go after Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. We need a big trade here. That's a big spot.
Wow. So Cleveland moves back 4 picks and probably got I would like to know what they got.
I think the Browns just made it pretty clear that they're taking Shedeur Sanders. That's what you just seen there. Yeah,
come on.
It's very clear. The reason why they traded back is they knew that they could get Shedeur at 5. It makes sense.
No. I think they liked Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. I think.
Well, then you can't trade back. I'm talking.
Oh, you're talking about the Browns. Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's very clear that they're going Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because otherwise, you have to take one of the two best players in this draft, and they passed up on that. So it's very clear with that trade. That's a huge trade by the Browns. Browns fans, I know there's a couple guys watching that are Browns fans. He's probably not too happy with that trade because I think he really wanted Travis Hunter. But
By the way, feel free to click the link in it's pinned in the comment section and in the description if you want to join Talk Some Football during the draft here.
Yeah, that's a big hit for the Browns unless they're really going Shador. I mean, it makes sense. You trade back because you know you can get him at that spot.
Yep.
And they're taking him right before the Jets, right? Because the Jets are quarterback. They're in need of a quarterback, and so are the Saints. So to me, it makes sense to trade, really.
Yeah, I agree. If Shador was the guy, that was a smart thing for Cleveland. And the Jags just got one of the top two guys in the draft. Guaranteed, I think.
I like the move if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, now you're talking Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. This is a great spot to be. You know, I prefer to be number 3 because I'm happy with either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. Obviously, I would prefer Abdul Carter if it's me, because a premier edge rusher in the NFL is worth so much. Travis Hunter brings some interest because he can also play offense, and if he does play offense in the NFL, he might be the most valuable player in this draft.
Hunter is such an amazing talent.
This is interesting. So this is either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. If you're the Jags,
if you're playing against the Jags and you got to deal with Travis Hunter and the big beast of last year, that's not an easy cover. I mean, Brian Thomas is an absolute beast, and now you're adding Travis Hunter. You know, the Jags might be tough to stop. They still have Etienne as well.
Does that sway them to go in defense here? Because I think it makes sense that they don't get pass rush.
It's true, but at the same time, they do have Walker that they invested in, and you know, a corner that can play offense as well is still defense technically.
Here's Roger Goodell.
It's Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead is going to do it.
Oh, he's announcing Abdul Carter.
I'm honored to take a moment to recognize a player who's made a profound impact on and off the field. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, recognizes one player each year who best represents greatness and compassion, both on and off the field and in the community. Tonight, we are proudly joined by the 2024 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, Eric Armstead.
Here we go.
First off,
and he's still a Niner. That was so forced.
Thank you to the commissioner. Thank you to the Payton family and the NFL and Nationwide. And also, too, tonight I want to encourage each player embarking on the NFL journey to identify a passion close to their heart and act upon it. Use your platform to make your community, the league, and this world a better place. As we remember, Walter Payton, strive to leave a positive legacy of your own. Thank you.
Here we go.
Gotta be a big Travis Hunter. That would be pathetic if they traded up and didn't get one of those guys. Like imagine they went numbers.
In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
Makes sense. That is crazy, that trade. That's a great trade. What did they get? It still didn't clarify. It just said they swapped picks, but it didn't clarify what it was that they gave up for that.
Yeah, it'd be good to know. I wonder if it was a lot. Would definitely give up a second for that? Second round pick?
No. To move up 3 spots? I don't think so.
It's very possible. We're talking top 3, man. You just moved into the top 3.
Pretty crazy. Travis Hunter goes second overall. This is a guy that was the number 1 recruit coming out of high school.
So I think it's
a small school, then he ends up in Colorado. Another, you know, it's a Division I school, but it's not exactly one of the biggest ones. This is the man.
So is it safe to say that, or obviously it's safe to say, but the Giants got Abdul Carter. That's big for them.
I saw that coming. I really did think Abdul Carter was going to end up with the Giants. I don't know why I thought that, but I didn't think Travis Hunter would end up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars make a splash, get up there and go get a top 3 player in this draft. Well done. Good on them.
Ryan Ken says, not going to lie, that was a steal for the Browns. Imagine they move back up again. Well, they're sitting right there at number 5. I can't see them moving up. And like Sal said, it does make sense that was just a quick move back to steal Shedeur Sanders a little later on in the draft.
I really think that the Browns have made it pretty damn clear where they're going with their pick. It's Shedeur Sanders.
Hey. Yeah, I think that.
And that's beneficial for the 49ers because if Shedeur Sanders fell out of the top 10, that's one extra player that we lose out on because we're not taking Shedeur Sanders. So he's a player that we're not going to take, and he's going in the top 10. Same with Cam Ward. So that's 2 players now. You're still getting – now you're technically getting a top 10 player in the sense that, you know, we're not after a quarterback.
All right.
Unless, of course, we trade Brock Purdy here and make a huge splash. Wow, they gave up a first-round pick for next year. They're moving up 3 spots. Wow, I'm not so sure that's basically saying we have a generational player and we're not missing out on him. Because that is, I think it's a good trade for the Browns in the sense that they just got 2 first-round. Well, they got an additional first-round pick and only moved back 3 spots. And if you're thinking Shedeur, or if you weren't thinking Shedeur and you were thinking Travis, now you're thinking Shedeur. I really believe that. It makes more sense even more now because you got a first-round pick for next year. Get Shedeur now and build around him.
I think Travis Hunter is as close as they come to being like this is the draft, so you can never guarantee a player's success. But Travis Hunter is pretty damn close to guaranteeing a player's success. So if the Browns aren't taking Shedeur after this move and they just moved away from Travis Hunter for an extra first-round pick of next year, I don't know if that's worth it.
No, it wasn't a first-round pick. My mistake. It's a second-round pick, 36th overall.
This year?
It doesn't clarify that. And a
36
fourth-round pick.
36 overall would be this year because that's their pick.
Oh, oh my gosh. They did a second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a first-round pick of 2026.
Look at that.
That's a crazy trade.
Yeah,
the Browns just dominated, if you ask me. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. Giants pick is in.
The only reason why they didn't fully dominate is they just lost out on Travis Hunter, but I would do that trade. That's a big-time trade. You just did – wow. You're talking a second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a first-round pick just to move back 3 spots.
Yeah, man, the cost is pricey to get up in that top 3, especially when there's a guy like Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. It's crazy.
Yeah, Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are looked at as generational type players, and you're going to pay money. Well, you're going to pay a lot to get those guys. The 49ers, you know, when they were talking they're going to move up into the top 6, if Brock Purdy's not on the table, there's no chance that they can even think of moving into the top 6.
No.
He's the first pick. That's what it is. He's just football. He can do everything. And one of the most dynamic receivers in the league last year.
Crazy move. Crazy move. The Jags just went all in on a wide receiver / corner.
The Giants pick is in. The Patriots are on the clock. 2 minutes in on that. Kurt Warner, let's give you the floor.
Like in my opinion, if I'm the Jags, I would have never done it.
No, it's not. It's not a good trade if you're the Jaguars. Yes, you get a generational player. You know, a guy that's not around every year. That's for sure. But you gave up a first-round pick in 2026, a second-round pick, and a fourth-round pick this year to move up 3 spots. That might be the first. That's almost as bad as the 49ers trade for Trey Lance. It's in the ballpark. The only difference is they're actually getting a good player.
Yeah, so it can't be as bad. Trey Lance remains as the worst draft
The
trade
New
of
York
all time.
Giants select Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter.
Yeah, the first 3 picks, take it in your order. We said it high. You know, everybody expected those 3 players to go in the first 3 picks. We just didn't expect the Jaguars to be the team taking Travis Hunter. I really am hoping and praying that the Browns do go with Shedeur Sanders. To me, it's pretty clear. The trade back tells you that that's what they're doing, but maybe not. Maybe the trade was just irresistible because of how much was offered.
Yeah, that's another great possibility. That's for sure. I can't see them taking Shedeur Sanders. Man, I'm not trying to sound like a hater. I don't see what got him in this top 10. I don't. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Well, Shedeur Sanders is the next option at quarterback. I don't think Dart has stepped in front of him. Maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, it takes one team to make that decision, and they draft him. But I mean, I do think that Shedeur will be the next quarterback off the draft. And if he's not, I don't think there's another guy that you would mention other than Dart.
I agree. All I'm saying is, if there's no quarterbacks, there's no quarterbacks, and it feels like they're kind of forcing another quarterback into the top 10 when he's not worthy. That's just that's what I see when I watch him.
Yeah. Well, Shedeur Sanders is an accurate quarterback. I think that's his best attribute. Arm strength is not elite. It's good, but it's not elite. His mobility is average. It's nothing special. I mean, the one thing that I noticed when I watched his tape is that he finds the zones and he throws on time. But when he's under pressure, I mean, he made some throws where he did get hit, and he stepped into it and took the hit and made the throw. But I've also seen some clips where when he's under pressure, he doesn't look. I don't know. You got to wait till you get on an NFL field to truly know. But when he does get under pressure, I don't like what I see sometimes. He makes some stupid plays. But overall, as a career, I mean, they're going to retire his number at Colorado. So that tells you enough. It's not just because he's the son of the coach. The guy did have a big-time career at Colorado.
All right, he did for sure. Throwing downfield to wide open Travis Hunter.
It's true, and that's something that I've never liked in quarterbacks is when you're going to invest so much into a quarterback and he's throwing to an elite NFL player on a college football field. It can be deceiving. And, the guy that always comes to my mind is Trey Lance. He was throwing to Christian Watson, who's a fast player in the NFL. He was fast at North Dakota State. And, he's getting open, and he's open by like 3-4 yards. It's uncontested catches. So the throw is basically throw it as far as you can and I'll get under it. And that's deceiving on tape because it looks like a good throw. But to me, it's not a hard read, and it's thrown to an open player.
Right, that's the whole thing. It's just such an easy decision. And the NFL will take those away from you so fast. Or if you don't have an answer for it, you're going to fall downhill real quick. And that's what we saw in Trey Lance. I believe he had a good deep ball, but you can't see it because if that's all I got to take away from you, you're done.
The other thing, too, is talking about Trey Lance and that terrible draft pick that in the trade and all that. Trey Lance barely played. I mean, he didn't have a lot of time on the field in college. And, again, the 49ers went and invested their whole franchise into him for like 3-4 years, and that stupid trade even made it worse. You can't do that unless you really know who you're getting. And they never knew who they were getting. They were acting like they were trading for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Okay, so here's where the draft gets interesting.
Yes. I think this is a very interesting pick. I wouldn't be surprised Will Campbell or Membu. Another guy that if the Patriots are serious about defense, and with the new coach, I know they are, Jalen Walker is not out of the question here.
Jalen Walker's not out of the question. Mason Graham's not out of the question.
And Mason Graham. Yeah, I think this is Mason Graham, Jalen Walker are the outside picks. Actually, I would say Mason Graham is possibly the highest probability here. And then Will Campbell.
Right.
I'm not sold on Mason Graham, to be honest. I think there's better D tackles in this draft.
I think there's better D tackles possibly in the second round of this draft. Like if we're talking about guys like Walter Nolan possibly falling to the second round.
I don't think Walter Nolan will fall to the second round, but I think Kenneth Grant might.
I think it flipped, man. Mock drafts I've been seeing recently got that switch around.
That's the thing, though. All you got to look at is it takes one team to change everything. And just like what you saw right now, the Jaguars making a trade that nobody's seen coming.
I know Browns fans, regardless of what they got back in that trade, they must be pretty upset right now. They thought
No, I think it's a no-brainer that they do that trade. If you're a GM and you get
I-
offered something like that for 3 spots,
I agree. I agree that it's a no-brainer, but for the past how many months they've been thinking they guaranteed have Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. And they
so the
whack both.
Giants are going to get Abdul Carter to play against his mentor, Micah Parsons. You know, that's pretty cool, but I bet you Micah Parsons was hoping he didn't end up in New York.
Yeah. Crazy. Any trades in the top 3 drafts. You just can't see
I
that
really,
stuff.
really hope the 49ers do not end up making a trade, anything like that. That's a bad trade.
Yeah.
But these were
So-
the 2 guys you make a trade like that for. I mean, at the end of the day, those 2 players, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, they do not come around every draft. They really don't.
Right.
And the other thing that's pretty scary if you think about it is the fact that there's still injuries in this game. And when you go make a trade like that, if an injury happens,
Yeah.
that trade starts to look really bad.
And keep in mind, like, hey, Travis Hunter's a stud, but he's got wear and tear that other players don't have. You're playing both sides of the ball, so that could catch up to you.
It could catch up to him in his career, but I think you're going to see a pretty flashy Travis Hunter in this upcoming season. I think Travis Hunter is going to fit into this NFL real quick. I think he's going to play a pretty good. I think he'll play very high level defense. I think he'll play some good man coverage. He's really good in zone. And then when he ends up on the offensive side of the ball, the closest receiver that he reminds me of is Justin Jefferson. He's very smooth in his routes. He's moving quick the whole time, and he catches everything. So Travis Hunter, I mean, some of the catches he made in college are unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so he's technically a player, like I say, you don't see in every single draft. So you could understand the reason why the Jaguars made that trade. I just think it's too aggressive.
I agree. Too aggressive. I initially thought a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, so the fact that the Patriots signed Stephon Diggs, I don't think I think they would have preferred Abdul Carter. If it was the Patriots' choice, they would have got Abdul Carter, but because he's gone, this is where it gets interesting. Like, this is the first pick where we could say you don't know for sure who's going here.
Yeah. Well, here comes Roger Goodell.
Will Campbell.
Will Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you had to believe it was going to be Will Campbell, Membu, or Jalen Walker, and they went Will Campbell. So as a 49er fan, I like the way this draft is going because not a lot of defensive players are being picked. I mean, obviously, Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are gone, but we expected those. So here we go. This is where it really matters, and I want to think the next pick is Shedeur Sanders. That's why I'm excited here.
That'd be very exciting. Every pick that goes by where Jalen Walker's still on the board is exciting. If we walk away with Jalen Walker at the end of this draft, I'm happy. That opens up so much for us in the 2nd and 3rd round. Like, we get an elite edge player right off the bat. That gives you an opportunity to actually stack that defense.
Yeah, because the fact is that this class is very deep at D tackle. So if the 49ers get Jalen Walker at 11, you know, getting their 2nd-round pick, you could see a guy like Kenneth Grant falling all the way to the 2nd round. It's very possible. I don't think Walter Nolan will. I think the 49ers have to move up if they want Walter Nolan or Derek Carr. Or the other option is the 49ers trade back, get like a Mikael Williams and get 2 2nd-round picks. You know, this their current 2nd-round pick and another one. And then now you're talking about maybe getting 2D tackles or an offensive tackle
Yeah.
If it was up to me, the Niners go edge, D tackle, and then they get their offensive line players. I don't want to see the Niners address O-line before D-line. The 49ers have a hole at D tackle. They have a hole at edge. And yes, sure, obviously we would love to have a better O-line. We'd love to have another tackle. We'd love to have another center. But the truth is the Niners have a bigger need on defense. They don't even have returning players that have had a lot of football time on the field, like a lot of time on the field. So on offense, at least you got Trent Williams, who probably will get hurt, but he is coming back, and McKivitz on the other side, who's played a lot of football, just maybe not at the highest level, but he's been on the field.
Yeah, I think there's no argument that defense is the biggest need, defensive line specifically. I hope that's what we address in the first couple rounds, like we've been saying for the past how many weeks.
Yeah, and I think Rue's got a point here. Imagine they move back again. I just don't think they can go back further than the Jets. I think the Jets are a team that could take Shedeur, and I think the Saints are a team that could take Shedeur. So where they are right now, it makes sense that the Jags go. To me, it makes sense that the Browns go Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, it seems to be all about Shedeur Sanders for the Browns right now. That's the only thing that makes sense. You don't give up a player like Travis Hunter unless you're.
Well, also that trade was irresistible. I mean, what they just did for their franchise, they got a first-round pick next year, and they got a additional second-round pick this year, and a fourth-round pick just to move back 3 spots. So maybe they weren't thinking Shedeur yet. Maybe they were going to try to get him later on in the draft and like trade up or something, and that just changed everything. And now they can afford to take him at 5 because they got additional picks this year and obviously a first-round pick next year.
Yeah, I think they left them no choice but to say yes to that trade.
And to be honest with you, the Browns are pretty good at corner. So it would have made more sense for them to take Abdul Carter and, put a crazy guy next to Myles Garrett. But, they chose to take a trade that, again, to me is irresistible. You just lost out on 2 generational talents, if you ask me.
Right. It's just the scary thing is they get that first-round pick. They get that second-round pick. But at the end of the day, neither of those picks are guaranteed. And like we said, Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter seem like as close as it gets to a guaranteed player through a draft. So it's still a risk. Regardless, it's still a risk.
Now, but you got to think that first-round pick that the Jags gave up, that's still probably a top 10 pick. I don't see the Jags just reversing their, are they going to go to the playoffs? I doubt it, man. I really do. But if they ended up in the playoffs, then it kind of makes that trade not so great. You got to hope that they finish near the bottom and you still end up in the top 10 and you get another player next year who's supposed to be pretty damn good.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Browns pick is in. I think now, we're both expecting Shedeur Sanders. It'd be crazy if it's not.
If it's not Shedeur Sanders, they got to go line. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't see them taking Jalen Walker here. I really don't.
Here we go. Here comes Roger Goodell.
To make this selection. With the 5th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Mason Graham.
Yeah.
Mason Graham.
Wow. Crazy. Wow. Just gets crazier. I mean, they still went defense.
So they must have really liked Mason Graham. And they
must have really liked Mason Graham, and they knew they would get him at 5.
Yeah. Wow.
That's not the best thing that just happened for the 49ers because, like I say, we're not taking Shedeur. We want a team to take Shedeur before us. And it leaves a good player on the board.
But then again, like I've been saying, if Shedeur's still on the board when we come by and we're looking to trade back, that's a possible way to trade back. If somebody wants Shedeur at 11, come call in the Niners.
Man, I got to be honest. I don't even think the best defensive tackle in this draft is Mason Graham. I really do not believe he is. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's a 5th overall pick. I like Derek Harmon more, and I like Walter Nolan more, to be honest.
I agree. I may like Kenneth Grant more.
And Kenneth Grant, if you pay attention, if you watch his tape, you'll see Kenneth Grant make a lot of plays on his tape.
Right. Yeah, like don't get me wrong. I think this guy's still going to be good. I don't know if he's the best D tackle, and which is why I would never take him fifth overall. Simple. Wow, that's interesting. I had a feeling Shador was going to drop.
Michigan player goes to Ohio. The biggest rival of the Michigan Wolverines is Ohio State Buckeyes, and he ends up in Cleveland.
Well, there you go. They still got a guy next to Myles Garrett on the line. So
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't go wrong if you get a defensive line player that makes a difference. Anytime you can get a guy that puts pressure on the quarterback, you can win in different ways in this league. And one way to win is play really good defense.
yeah.
And obviously, they still need to address the quarterback position. But you never know. They could still make it with those additional picks. There's a possibility that they think Shador falls all the way to the Steelers and they trade up before the Steelers. It's definitely possible. I think the Steelers would take him if he's there. I think the Browns know that. So if they want Shador Sanders, they're going to have to move up in this draft and get him.
We can't forget there's just a strong possibility that they just don't like him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. They wouldn't be the only people that just don't like Shador Sanders or simply don't believe in him. I don't. I mean, just because they're in a situation where they need a quarterback and they had a high pick, why do they have to believe in this guy?
For those of you who are watching, take a prediction here on the comments who you think is going to go 6th overall.
6th overall to the Raiders. Can we see Genty here?
I think this is Genty. I mean, if it's not Genty, I think Will Johnson is on the table here.
Will Johnson. The Raiders need so many positions.
Calvin Banks is another guy that comes to mind. It's possible they go Calvin Banks here.
Could be Jalen Walker. It could be.
I as a Niner fan, I don't even want to say that. So I'm gonna pray that it's not Jalen Walker. But like I say, if Jalen Walker gets picked, it's still not the end of the world. There's still two really, really good guys. Even Shamar Stewart, if you want to.
It's the end of my world. Okay. I want Jalen Walker.
He is the best fit for the 49ers in terms of the fact that he can play linebacker and rush the quarterback at a very high level.
Yeah, man. Here we go. Raiders pick is in. Let's go, Genty. Or Banks.
I think Genty going here is beneficial for us. I think Banks going here is beneficial for us because I don't want the 49ers to take Banks. But I think Banks goes to the Panthers at 8 if he's on the board. So that's good for us because I think the Panthers would want Jalen Walker.
Yeah, I almost want Banks off the board just so the Niners don't take him. I think if he's on the board, there's a strong possibility.
It's true, but we need him to be on the board at 8 so that the Panthers would take him.
The Las Vegas Raiders select
Nice.
Genty. Wow.
So here we go. Ashton Genty's off the board. It's kind of funny. The draft has gone pretty much to script outside the fact of the trade. Other than the trade, a lot of these players are gone where they're expected to go. Shador Sanders, I just really believe that was the 5th overall pick because of the trade back. But, after looking at what they got, it's definitely the reason why they did the trade. It was irresistible.
Yeah. There goes Ashton Genty, by far the best running back in this class.
And I don't think the Browns were going to go Travis Hunter. I think it was Abdul Carter. Because they even look who they took right now. They ended up taking Mason Graham, another defensive line player. So they were going D-line, and they looked at it like we get Mason Graham at 5, moving back 3 picks, and you get a first-round pick and second-round pick. I think the Browns are the home run hitters so far. Despite losing out on Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, I still think the Browns are the home run hitters. So if I'm a Browns fan right now, I'd be pretty excited. Other than the fact that you lost out on 2 generational players.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be so quick to accept that. That move, okay, you gain a crazy pick this year. 36 overall is big time. But I feel like as a Browns fan, you're always thinking about next year.
You know, and the Raiders taking a running back at 6th overall tells you a lot why they're in their situation, man. You don't take running backs at 6th overall. I don't care, man. Unless you got like AP and you know it's AP. And this guy, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's done everything you should do in college and more. But I just don't want a running back at 6th overall. If that's my team, that's just not who I want.
I agree. Like when you're a team that's close to having the puzzle all put together, elite running back, right? But the Raiders are just so far away from that this guy's not going to change your organization. Even if he helps you put up an extra 7 points a week, you cannot stop anyone on defense.
Yeah.
Defense wins championships, and that's a saying for a reason. It's legit.
Well, thank God he's off the board because we know Kyle Shanahan is a funny guy when it comes to running backs. I don't think he takes a running back in the first round, but if Genty's sitting there, you know he'd be all nervous and thinking about it.
Yeah, he'd be itching. Give me that running back.
I mean, you've seen the energy, you've seen the dance moves. I'm ready to go entertain each and every week on Sunday.
The commissioner of the NFL just picked you up in that hug. Is that the last man that's going to try to tackle you in the NFL?
Nah, I don't think so.
Congratulations,
Ashton
Ashton.
Genty, 6th overall pick in the NFL draft.
He's gonna be good. He's gonna be good. I think it's safe to say he's gonna be a really good running back.
Yeah, I think Ashton Genty is going to be a great running back in the league. I just don't know why you're taking him as 6th overall to the Oakland Raiders, or sorry, the Vegas Raiders, who are in need of, like you said, so many spots. They're nowhere near being a playoff team. So,
but hey, they got a very new look offense that's exciting for a Raider fan. They got Geno Smith, who's a decent quarterback in this league. They got a possibly elite running back now. So
they got themselves an elite running back. When you're investing 6th overall, they know he's elite. But like I say, it's a high pick for a team that has a lot of needs, and that position's not typically the position you go after when you're a team full of needs.
Jets pick is in. What do we got here?
7th overall. I would love to see Shador go here. I would love it.
It's not happening. Shador's fallen.
Yeah, I mean all the mock drafts, everybody said he's gonna fall.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll keep saying it. It just takes one team to change that. And
the way I see it,
could be the Saints.
The problem is the way I see that though is even if one of these teams were in love with him, the second they see him fall out of the top 20 in their mock drafts, they're thinking of trading back up. So I think when Shador goes, a trade will happen. I don't think it's just going to happen.
It's true. The only thing is, if you're the New Orleans Saints and you can't tell me you're happy with the way Derek Carr's career has played out there. Realistically, his whole career has been a little disappointing. He shows signs of greatness, but then he struggles. So if you're the Saints, you give him a chance to sit on the sideline and learn while Carr plays the season out, and then you give him a shot. It's something that, I don't know, I think it's a good possibility. I don't think the Saints are going to do it, but it is a possibility.
Well, Derek Carr being out this year, like their roster, I don't know. I think it's time to move on from Carr regardless. I think we've seen the best football he'll ever play, and I think it's just time to move on. But
Did
then
you say
again,
Derek Carr is out this year?
Yeah.
Oh, he's injured for the year?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know it.
Yeah, so they got a lot of...
So there you go. I don't see how the Saints are off the table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got what's the quarterback they drafted off that show?
Yeah, they
didn't draft him, they got him. But anyway, yeah, he looked good.
At times, yeah.
At times, exactly. He wasn't like. But then again, it's only 1 year and it's his first year. Give him a chance. You really are they going to do that, or do they want to go Shador Sanders? Like I think the Saints are a really good chance that Shador Sanders goes there.
Anything's possible in this draft.
It's funny. Right. I know a Browns fan that was so convinced a month ago or 2 months ago that Shador was going to. Yeah, not a, he's even going to fall possibly out of the top 10, which is crazy.
Yeah. He could fall possibly out of the top 20.
I don't think he goes past the Steelers. I think that's the end of the road right there. There's no way he goes past that.
Who do the Steelers have right now on their roster?
As their quarterback?
Did they keep Fields?
No, Justin Fields is a Jet.
Right. So who do they have?
The Steelers quarterbacks on their roster right now. I think they brought back, if I'm not mistaken.
With more than 9 out of 10 sold in the last decade, still on the road, walk keeps us on.
So they're talking about Will Johnson probably going here.
They have a shot at going for the top 10.
Him and Sauce Gardner would be pretty interesting.
I would love to see Warren go here.
Yeah.
We need Membu and Banks gone. Otherwise, the 49ers are going to want to take that.
Here we go.
From the commissioner. Once upon a time, if I'm not mistaken, a former intern of the New York Jets coming out with this pick right now. He's been upgraded a little bit up the flow chart since then. With the 7th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Armand Membu.
Nice.
There we go.
Get the tackles off the board so the Niners don't pick them. Banks is the next one.
Yeah. I think that's possibly. I think that's the best Jacqueline draft. I think he's better than Will Campbell. I just from what I've seen, I think the Jets just got a good one. Then again, I like
the Jets definitely got a good offensive tackle right there. And you know, every team could use a good left tackle, but I'm just surprised that the Jets are. It looks like they're going to really ride with Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm. That's the problem, though. There is no quarterback. There just isn't. I don't think the teams believe in Shedeur Sanders.
Well, I mean, there are some quarterbacks that teams are probably planning on taking later on in this draft.
Yeah.
And like I say, Dart is one of those guys. I think Riley Jackson is another guy that's worthy of talking about.
Milroe's a possibility. Milroe just because of his lease.
And Jalen Milroe, yeah, he's a physical.
Okay.
His physical ability is what makes him intriguing, but I don't think he's polished enough as a quarterback to be fully excited to go draft him high. I don't see him being drafted in the first round. I'd be surprised.
I don't think so either. Okay, so the Panthers pick is already in. It was pretty quick. So their guy fell. Is this Jalen Walker right here? I think if this isn't Jalen Walker, we got a solid chance.
If I was to bet, I would say this is Jalen Walker.
That sucks. That sucks.
It's the position they want. The only chance is Calvin Banks. I think Calvin Banks is the only guy outside of Jalen Walker that gets picked here.
If I was them, I'd take Jalen Walker. This sucks. Yeah, this is the strongest possibility right now. Jalen Walker right here. I can't see New Orleans taking Walker, and I don't think Chicago would. It's a possibility. It's actually a strong possibility Chicago would too.
I think Chicago's going all line. I mean, and the coach that they brought in, you know, really believes in a solid O line.
Fair enough.
You know, I think they go O line. I think Calvin Banks is an option there as well.
Yeah.
I would be very, very upset to see Jalen Walker gone here. But if I'm a betting man, I think it's Jalen Walker. You know, the other guy that people have shown in their mock drafts to go here is Shamar Stewart. But I think if you pick Shamar Stewart over Jalen Walker, something is wrong here.
I agree. You'd have to be crazy. Or there's something about Jalen Walker we don't know.
Say that again.
Either something's wrong or there's something about Jalen Walker that we're not aware of.
No, Jalen Walker is everything is advertised. Even at his pro day, he knocked it out of the park. Jalen Walker
I think
is the
so.
guy the 49ers are praying falls to 11, but this is the scariest spot right here. I think this is the best chance of Jalen Walker happening before the 49ers.
Yeah.
If Calvin Banks goes here, I think the Bears. I think the Saints have a chance of taking Shedeur. That's very beneficial for us. And then I think there's a chance that the Bears would goal line. I really believe that.
I think if for any 49er fans watching right now,
You're praying.
in my opinion, yeah, and you're sitting there praying for Jalen Walker, we could be in for a rude awakening. I think our draft changes big time if Walker's not there. And let's say we're not giving off.
It's still not horrible if they trade back. If the Niners can trade back to like 16, 15, and do something crazy like what the Browns just did,
Right.
it's a good move. But if Jalen Walker's there, it's again a guy that you may not want to resist and just take him. But it would not surprise me one bit if the Panthers take him here.
Here we go. Anything but Jalen Walker. Come on.
It's going to either be Jalen Walker or Calvin Banks.
Give me the good news. Calvin Banks. Get Banks off the board so we're not taking tackle. And take Jalen Walker. As much as the need tackle is going to be, like I said, defense wins championships. It wasn't made up.
Any chance they go receiver here? I think there's a chance too. Think about it. They could use a receiver.
They could take McMillan.
Yeah.
Get to it, Roger. I need to know.
Problem is their last year's first round pick was a receiver. I don't think they're going to do that again, but McMillan is the second best receiver on this board.
Frick, who was the Panthers' first round pick last year?
The guy with the best accent in the world. I'll tell you his name right now. For some reason I'm drawing dead, but
Xavier Legette.
yes. He's got the best interview out of anybody because of his accent.
Really? I've never seen it. That's funny.
He's got the craziest accent you've ever seen.
Okay, here we go, Panthers.
Anybody but our boy. McMillan. Let's go. Receiver. Let's go. 2 receivers in a row for the Panthers.
Wow.
Jalen Walker is creeping closer and closer to the 49ers. It's the Saints and the Bears left. We need the Bears to take Banks. I think it's a credible pick for the Bears. I really do. And if Shedeur goes here, the 49ers are rocking. They get the player that fills the need of replacing Dre Greenlaw. And on third down, you can put him on the edge and let him go after the quarterback. And put D. Winters, what D. Winters is best at, and that's pass coverage. On third down, it would be a match made in heaven for the 49ers.
Yep. Wow. Okay, McMillan. That's massive. I think our chance of Walker just skyrocketed.
Yeah, I think that was the team that threatened the most to take him.
Mhm.
And the Niners have avoided that. And I do believe the 49ers want Jalen Walker.
Mm-hmm.
And he rocked his pro day. So he made it every reason why the 49ers should take him.
Yeah.
The only thing that upsets me is all these mock drafts telling me that Niners want to tackle with the first round pick. It's very disappointing if they were willing to do that.
This is the scary part about the draft because I don't think many people have seen this coming. 2 receivers, first round picks, 2 years in a row. This is why, like, Walker could go to the Saints, Walker could go to the Bears. It's not written off. We could guess all we want, but it's not.
It's definitely not written off. But the track record of the coach in Chicago You know, he had a lot of success in Detroit behind a really good O line, and I think he weighs that as a high priority.
Yeah,
And
that's a solid
I think that's something he'd want to address.
It's a solid point for sure.
Yeah, and let's be honest, a solid O line when you already have a quarterback that they believe is a franchise quarterback, and they already have
They got O'Dunn's.
they got O'Dunn's and they got
weapons.
more. They got
Yeah.
weapons.
Receiver, what we mean by that is that solo guy on the backside, and nothing makes football easier.
Yeah. Ben Johnson in Chicago could easily be a Kyle Shanahan right now, and if he has full control, I agree with what you're saying. O line's happening there. It's gonna be offense. So the Saints are the only wild card left. I
think the Saints make a lot of sense by taking Shador, but again, if people don't believe in Shador Sanders and he's gonna just keep dropping, then oh man, can you imagine how disappointed Deion Sanders is right now?
To glorify him, the man above, but to put on for my Polynesian people. So shout out to all my Polys, man, we did it.
You see this Panthers fan base right here? They got a They got a big face of Bryce Young back there. What kind of magic are you guys gonna make?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, the Cali connection is gonna be something different. I promise.
I think Bryce Young is more excited than anybody right now, but again, another quarterback who's a smaller guy who hasn't done it yet. And, I know he looked a little bit better last year as the year tailed off, but I'm not a believer in Bryce Young. I'm not a believer in small quarterbacks. Obviously, there are some small quarterbacks who can execute and play at a high level. I just think they're up against it. And that's why I don't like drafting small quarterbacks. And first overall pick happens to be a 6'1" quarterback.
Well, it looks like the Panthers are trying to make it an emphasis to give them a fair shot here. 2 receivers drafted back-to-back years.
Yeah.
Their O-line is still so weak, though. It's still
time to show Shador. It looks like he might be going.
He's happy. He looks happy.
This makes sense. Whoa. They just said that Jackson Dart is considered a better quarterback by the New Orleans Saints.
Let's see. Kellen Moore is their head coach. I did not know that. So Kellen Moore is an offensive guy.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Kellen Moore goes quarterback here.
Shador Sanders going to the Saints?
Day 2, second round. At that point in time, you take your shots. But just talking to people all around this kind of
would be good.
Of quarterbacks, was not the vibe they were getting. Last time I heard someone ignore a quarterback so publicly, where the quarterback was shocked that he was taken by the team, just Jay Cutler. When Mike Shanahan ordered his people to stay away, he did all the work up on his own. And then they took him as a surprise to everyone, including Cutler. Well, Bears are 4 and change into their allotted time for the 10th overall pick. Here's the commissioner with the Saints' choice.
Here we go, Goodell.
With the 9th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Kelvin Banks.
Nice.
Yes!
Let's go. We're 1 away. We're 1 away.
Wow.
So it's funny. The draft is really going the way people expected it to go so far. Not a lot of people did. I kept thinking Shador was a good option for the Jets, the Saints, and the Browns. It looks like all these teams have decided not to take him. Shador is going to fall probably to 21.
Yeah. Here we go, Niners. We're one pick away.
The Niners will hit home run, getting our boy Jalen Walker all the way back at 11.
Now, if we don't take Jalen Walker after all of this,
no, there's no way. There's actually no way, because Calvin Banks is gone, Membu's gone. The guys that would stop the 49ers from taking him are gone.
Imagine that other tackle that was in a recent mock draft.
Which one?
Greg Zabel.
Oh, yeah, Gary Zabel. Because he fits the 49ers needs too, because he can play center, he can play tackle, he can play guard.
That can't happen, correct? Like, I don't think that's happening. That would be crazy. When I just
At the end of the day, anything is possible on draft night. You've already seen, a trade that the Browns you would never think that they would trade that spot. But again, that trade was irresistible. That's the fact.
I'd have to start breaking stuff if the Niners take Zabel. Seriously. Here we go. Chicago. Who do they take now? If their old liners are gone, who do they take?
They could take Gray Zabel.
Or they could take Walker.
Of course, they could. They definitely could take Jalen Walker. They could take Gray Zabel. Will Johnson, is that a possibility? They have two sick corners. It is a possibility.
That's a possibility, yeah.
Or Barron. I'm a firm believer that Will Johnson goes before Barron, but again, it just takes one team to switch everything up on you.
I think the biggest turnoff with Will Johnson is that he dealt with injuries last year. But even then, man, like, he had a crazy year. He has the perfect body you want in a corner, in my opinion. Here comes Chicago's pick.
The schedule release marks a pivotal moment in the NFL calendar. It's set primetime revenge and rematches. Those late season divisional dates that end up.
What do we got here?
Niners really, really have a good shot at getting Jalen Walker. They're getting closer and closer. They're one pick away.
There it is.
We're going to find that as well. Let's not forget the expanding lineup of international games as well as Christmas.
Let's go. Here we go. We just need these guys to take anybody but Jalen Walker, and we get the guy that fits our needs.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Get it together, mark the calendar, set alarms. The schedule will be dropped on
May 14th is the new schedule drop.
Lock it in. We can't wait. You can tweet it, tell everybody, and don't miss it.
I'm excited because I'm definitely going to probably go to the home opening.
Social channels around the schedule. Tune into NFL Network as well as ESPN. So much full coverage of the thrilling 2025 matchups. May 14th just around the corner. I know. It's basically here at this point. Guys, get ready and buckle up for the greatest season of your life.
So if it's not Jalen Walker, who is this pick?
Like you said, it could be Will Johnson, could be Jahdae Barron if they like him more. I don't think all linemen's on the board. Like, I can see Greg Zabel. I don't even know where he came from, to be honest. He jumped so far in the last week.
Well, he's always been a late first-round pick in this draft, in the mock drafts. The thing is, I just think this coach really believes in a good old line, and it just makes life easy on an offense, and all of a sudden everything that you want to do becomes a lot easier. And he had a lot of success in Detroit. I just got to believe that he's going to follow the same script.
So the Bears pick has not been announced yet, but the 49ers are officially on the clock right now. Here comes the Bears selection.
Yesterday, the NFL family lost a true legend, Bears Hall of Famer Steve McMichael. My heart is with the McMichael family during this incredibly difficult time. Missy, please know that you are in our thoughts and prayers. Mongo's remarkable contributions to the game and the community will never be forgotten. His legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. 50 years ago, with the fourth pick in the 1975 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears selected one of Steve McMichael's teammates and closest friends, Walter Payton, running back, Jackson State. Walter would go on to rush for nearly 17,000 yards and 110 touchdowns over 13 seasons, all with the Chicago Bears. As you heard earlier, the NFL continues to honor Sweetness not only for his performance and excellence.
Are the Steelers a certain Shedeur Sanders pick if he's there?
To its community. With
Oh.
Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award.
I don't
think
know.
so. I do
So with
believe
the
that.
10th pick
I would be
in
surprised
the
if he wasn't.
2025
Here we go.
the Chicago Bears select Colston Loveland.
Wow, they went tight end. Frick, I forgot about tight end. And Tyler Warren is not the first tight end off the board. Wow.
What? What?
Colston Loveland. And so, wow. Tyler Warren is not the first tight end off the board. I do like this guy, but I'm surprised.
I don't like him more than Tyler Warren. No way.
The Niners. Wow, we got it. Let's do it. Let's see what they do. Here we go. Jalen Walker is in our lap.
Jalen Walker's in her lap. Tyler Warren's there, which nobody expected.
No, Niners are not going tight end. You have the
I
best
hope
tight end in
not.
the league. That's just stupid.
I hope not. Well, a lot of rumors have been talking about trading George Kittle. So we can find out right here if any of it's legit.
You needed to trade George Kittle. The Niners were willing to trade George Kittle, which I'm totally against. But if they did, should have made the trade already.
No. I mean, you could make that argument, but he's not enough to get into any of the top 10 picks.
Well, I mean, you could trade George and an additional pick, like, and move up type of thing.
I agree.
I don't think you trade George Kittle. I really don't. There's certain players that a team you build around, and that's one. I don't care the fact that he's 30. I really don't care.
Just don't mess up and take Jalen Walker. That's all I have to say.
I either want to. There's two things that I want to see here. Either the Niners take Jalen Walker or they trade back. It's one of the two.
I'm not gonna lie, that Bears selection right there just reminds me of a classic Kyle Shanahan, an offensive genius who's overthinking things and possibly just takes the wrong player.
Well, it's funny because the Bears now. I was thinking that actually before this pick. I was trying to think of who their tight end was, and now they got a tight end to go along with Moore and Adonze, and if Caleb Williams is the real deal, he's got the coordinator, he's got the receivers, he's got the tight end.
Yeah.
This could be a big year in Chicago.
Because
we all know their defense is pretty good too. Their defense is pretty good.
This guy, you took the wrong tight end, man. You just took the wrong guy. Straight up, you just did. I thought Tyler Warren was the clear number one. I guess not. Here we go. Niners pick is in, baby.
Wow, so there's no trade happening. It's got to be Jalen Walker.
I think they're happy as Jalen Walker fell, and they weren't entertaining trades. And here we go.
If we get Jalen Walker right here, every 49er fan could be celebrating. The Niners hit jackpot, and it's all the way at 11. This guy's the 5th ranked player in this draft, and we're sitting at 11 with a chance to take him.
We should
Nick Bosa and Jalen Walker coming at your quarterback next year. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go through it. If the Niners don't take Jalen Walker, the other options here are what?
Will Johnson's an option. But I thought Will Johnson would only be an option if Walker was gone. So Walker's there, but Will Johnson's an option. Apparently Greg Zabel's an option because we need a tackle, and they might be addressing that right here, right now.
I think the best
really
argument
or
you
Barron
could
if
make.
they fell in love with Barron over Will Johnson, but I think San Fran likes the taller, lankier corners, which is why they go with Will Johnson.
Yeah, and I honestly believe that the 49ers know that Trent Williams is probably going to get hurt this year. He most likely at some point, he's been dealing with an ankle injury now for 2 or 3 years. I'm sure he's played through it quite a bit. And he probably would have played through it last year at the end had they been a threat to go to the playoffs. it's not something he can't play through. It's just something that will continue to bother him and most likely keep him off the field at some point this year. That's the reason why there's interest for a tackle this year. I just don't think it should be early. Like if the fourth round pick or the second, third round pick is a tackle for the 49ers or a guard or a center, to me, I'm good with that. I just don't want to see it before that.
I agree. 100%. Let's go, Niners. Don't mess up here. You got one job now.
Is there
You
any
got one
chance?
job.
So the Niners have Derek Harmon ranked really high on their board. Is there any chance they go Derek Harmon here?
No. I think that just be looked at as too big of a reach. But then again, we took Ricky Pearsall last year.
No, when you believe in a player and his abilities, you don't look at it as a reach. If you actually believe he's the guy and he's the real deal, you're not thinking in your head it's a reach. If you're getting the guy that's going to make a difference in your mind, you don't care where he is.
I mean, yeah, but there's a difference between taking him in the third round when he's a projected fourth round. There's a difference between that and taking him 11th overall when he's projected 25.
The only way I take a tackle in the second round is if Tyler Booker's there. If Tyler Booker's there, I'm good with taking that pick because I believe he's a first round pick. I just don't think he's going to be there. I think he's going to be gone in the 20s. So that's why you just stick to the plan and address defense. And then, it's not like there's nothing else out there. There's just not top graded guys. And to be honest with you, the top tackles are gone already.
So they're showing Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas.
I don't think the 49ers are going receiver. I really don't. I think that would be terrible.
That would be ridiculous. You'd have to break shit. Here we go.
If Jalen Walker is not the 11th overall pick, man, there's time to scratch our heads. This is crazy.
Well, this is an important draft.
Joe says, "What if it's another edge?" I'm hoping it's an edge right now.
We're hoping for Jalen Walker, the edge and the linebacker, all in one.
Mm-hmm.
Please direct your attention to the main stage video screens.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Message
Jalen Walker.
United States service members stationed at Yokota Air Base in Japan.
Hello from United States Forces Japan. I'm Sergeant Mitchell Johnson. I'm here with service members from the United States Army, Marine Corps, and Navy. We are proud to announce that this year we are celebrating our 250th anniversary. We are grateful for the opportunity to partner with NFL Salute to Service and the USO in introducing the San Francisco 49ers 2025 draft pick.
With the San Francisco 49ers draft pick, back to you in Green Bay.
Yeah, that's good. I thought that was it. That's good.
So here comes the commissioner now with that pick.
Here we go. What do we got?
Come on.
Chance of USA.
Jalen Walker.
With the requisite booze for the Niners here.
Thank you to our men and women who serve in the United States military for your sacrifices to defend our country's freedom.
What do we got?
With the 11th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Mike.
Wow. I told you Michael Williams is a guy I wouldn't be disappointed with, but they have him rated higher than Jalen Walker, his own teammate. That's pretty wild. Wow.
That is interesting. It's like a massive edge player. I just don't like it because he doesn't have that. He can't play linebacker like Jalen Walker. Like I don't know. I feel like you got the
He's
best.
more of a true D end, and they said a good point. Had he stayed healthy, he wouldn't have fallen to us. He would have been gone already in this draft. So
We're not mad at that. I'm not mad at it.
Yes, they did. There was those flashes. They just weren't consistent. I think it was health related. But he's very long. He's got long arms, and he uses.
Yeah, man, he's a big guy. He's long.
You see that long inside arm?
he's very much like Alden Smith, the way he looks, and
I like the idea.
Yeah,
it's
that's a
just
good-
A lot of tight alignments.
It's just crazy that the Niners would let us. I don't know.
He's just
They
not
have
the
they have him. Yeah, they have him rated higher than Jalen Walker.
It's interesting. Wow. I don't know.
They definitely addressed the right position.
Yes, they did.
But if you talk to the people around Georgia, they will say he was a great locker room guy. And I know that John Lynch loves those type of guys. Listen, can you go wrong with Georgia defenders?
Okay.
Vintage, I just don't think you can go wrong. And you could see having lost.
So he ran a 4.77. He's 260 pounds at 6'5".
Yeah, he's a beast. There's no denying that. I just don't know if he's the better football player. Like Jalen Walker's the better athlete. Jalen Walker plays two positions. Michael Williams might be a better pure edge rusher, which he probably is, because Jalen Walker relied a lot on speed, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We see Micah Parsons win with speed all the time. But so this could be a good thing. It's hard to say. It is hard to say. Just right now, I wouldn't have been ballsy enough to do it. I would have took Jalen.
Joe thinks it's the wrong Georgia guy. It's not the guy that I wanted. I'll be honest. I did want Jalen Walker. But unfortunately, the Niners, for whatever reason, wanted Mykel Williams. At the end of the day, Mykel Williams is still a very elite player, and it's definitely the position that I wanted addressed. And now my dream is that tomorrow they go DN, unless somehow we move up into this draft. We go D tackle, and somehow we move up in this draft and grab one again. I'm not sure.
The Cowboys go Tyler Booker, another O-lineman.
What's that?
Cowboys go Tyler Booker.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I told you I thought he'd be gone in the 20s. That's earlier than I expected, but it's definitely a big need if you're the Dallas Cowboys. They have a huge hole on the offensive line, and they just addressed it. I think Tyler Booker's a big-time tackle. I really do.
Yep. So the Niners get Mykel Williams. I'm not going to lie. He's not one of that. I didn't expect that. I haven't watched a ton of Mykel Williams, but from what I've seen, he's obviously a big guy who's good at football. Has he? So, yeah, he was the one with the off-field problems dating back to high school.
Who was?
Mykel Williams? Is that correct?
Yeah. No, Mike Green.
Oh, that was Mike. Okay.
No, Mykel Williams was injured, and he missed some time. But like I say, people think that had he stayed healthy and played out, he probably would have been gone in the top 10. Oh, man. It's almost like, are you excited or are you disappointed? I mean, I'm still excited because it's the right position, and the guy is definitely if the Niners don't take him at 11, he's probably gone by 15. So it's not like it's a reach. It's just I really thought that Jalen Walker fit the 49ers scheme. But then again, maybe the Niners rate D Winters higher than we expect, and they expect him to come in and do that job.
All right, that's showing that. Yeah, that's a good point. That has to be showing some sort of confidence in D Winters.
Say that again.
So that's a great point. Yeah, that has to mean they're showing some sort of confidence in D Winters.
Yeah, like I'm high on D Winters in the pass game. I'm just not exactly high on him in the run game. But again, he hasn't been given a fair shot either. So we'll wait and see how this pans out. The Niners also could still address linebacker later on in this draft. We know who they like.
All right. So the way I see it making sense is the Niners stuck with taking the best pure edge rusher. Like, we like Jalen Walker because he can play linebacker, but like we were saying, if you're going to play Jalen Walker at linebacker,
I'm not even kidding. I don't know if he's the best pure pass rusher outside of Abdul Carter. I don't know. I mean, Mike Green had 17 sacks. He's a pretty elite pass rusher from the edge.
Well, no, I'm talking.
Jalen Walker's another one.
Yeah, I'm just talking in terms of him versus Jalen Walker. So the Niners obviously must believe that he's the better pure pass rusher.
Yeah,
'Cause
well,
that's
he's got the bigger body.
Yeah.
He's 6'5" and he's 260, so he's much bigger than Jalen Walker. But Jalen Walker, I don't know. It's disappointing to me to see him still on the board. I mean, what a dream if you're the 13th or 14th overall pick and he falls to you.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Booker is an absolute beast, and he's an absolute stud. Yeah, I mean, Dallas Cowboys get an O-lineman, and Dallas Cowboys have had a lot of success when they had a good O-line.
Yep. Yeah, the Cowboys are sticking with what works for them.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins have to go O-line. But then you never know. Maybe they pick Jalen Walker. I don't think that's a bad pick either.
I think Jalen Walker to the Cowboys would have been really interesting. Him with Parsons off the edge, man.
Right, but they have problems on the O-line. It showed last year. The pick makes sense. The thing is, the 49ers O-line isn't necessarily one of the best O-lines in football, but there is a but, and that is Kyle Shanahan finds a way to make it work without the big names. And, outside of Trent Williams and now Pooney, the Niners don't really have big names on O-line, and they've been able to execute at a high level outside of last year.
Yeah. Who's Miami going with here?
I think it's O-line.
I think this is Will Johnson. Jalen Ramsey's on his way out. They need a corner. They're used to having a stud at corner. I think this could be Will Johnson here.
Will Johnson is a good pick, but I'm pretty sure they're going O-line. I could be wrong, but I feel like they're going O-line.
Is there anyone left for 13th overall? I guess that's Zabel guy.
Yeah, there is Gray Zabel, and let's see. I think a good pick for the Dolphins is to go Jalen Walker here. I mean, dude, to get Jalen Walker at this far into the draft is almost hard to believe. Especially he had a great pro day. Like it's kind of crazy that he's dropped so far.
Yeah, I don't see what the reason. It's not like he played like a stud and had a disappointing pro day. He impressed everybody, which is why near that. Getting closer to the NFL draft, they start to put them higher and higher up.
I expect the Dolphins to go. There's three ways here. It's either going to be Jalen Walker, Will Johnson, or O-line, and the O-lineman would probably be, I guess, Gray Zabel here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anybody that's watching, if you have a prediction who the Miami Dolphins are going to pick here, throw it out there. Jalen Walker, Tyler Warren, man, 5 and 6 are still on the board. Daniel Jeremiah's got Barron rated higher than Will Johnson by a mile. There's Dion and his son. Probably very disappointed. I mean, they got their smiles on and trying to pretend that, they thought that he'd be drafted higher than his dad, and that did not happen.
What happened to? Why didn't he get the athletics? When I first heard that Deion Sanders' son is a stud QB, the first thing I thought was, he probably looks like Lamar Jackson. Because Deion Sanders athletic as what happened?
It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, you would think the genes would pass down at least if he's going to play quarterback, you would think he'd be a scrambler. He's a good pocket passer, It's just if he had that ability to buy time and be able to move around, that would have added a lot to his game and made him more appealing.
With the 13th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Kenneth Grant.
Wow, D tackle. Kenneth Grant, wow.
Wow.
Well, it's pretty clear as this draft goes on, you really don't know who's going to go. You can have your assumptions. Kenneth Grant, I love the pick. I love the player. I didn't expect him to go this quick, but it is a good pick. The Dolphins fans should be happy. You just got yourself a serious inside interior player. I mean, look at that play that they just showed. He tracked down a receiver or a running back from behind, and this is a big man at 6'3", 331.
Yeah, he's extremely athletic for his size. Like, we're talking a freak in nature.
And I'm just throwing this out there. I think Kenneth Grant is better than Mason Graham.
Yeah. I guess what's left on the table for the best D tackle still available is Walter Nolan,
Derek Harmon.
See, and that just goes to show that these guys could go any second. We think one
pretty impressive for the Michigan Wolverines program to have 2 defensive tackles selected in the top 14. I mean, that's top 13. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's big time.
That is big for Miami because Miami struggled last year on defense. You know, I like the fact that they went defense. Tua is probably crying right now because he probably wanted an all lineman, but the guys that you would take at this point are gone. I think Gray Zabel's a reach. I don't know why people were saying that he'd go top 10 or top 15. I thought that was a reach. I think this right here is a clear pick. I think this is Tyler Warren all day.
Fair enough. Surprised he hasn't gone yet.
This is most likely Tyler Warren right here.
I can see Jalen Walker fitting here too.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Jalen Walker should not be on the board. But there is a need at tight end, and it makes sense for them to take Tyler Warren here. And then, getting Tyler Warren at 14 that's again another a guy that you need, and he's at 14th overall. It's pretty good. A lot of people had him as the best tight end in this draft, and somehow Loveland went above him.
Yeah, the Bears gonna stop. Guaranteed. Time will tell.
14th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Tyler Warren.
Seen that coming. Because, I mean, that's their need, and Tyler Warren makes a lot of sense for Indianapolis. You're getting probably the best tight end, if not, based on the pick by the Bears, he's the second best tight end.
So this is NFL's prototypical linebacker, tight end today. Like, this is what you're looking for in a tight end. This guy reminds me a lot of George Kittle in many ways. A lot of people resemble Gronk too. This is what you're looking for in tight end. This guy has elite size with elite athleticism.
I think Loveland has better athleticism. I think he's just a bigger guy.
Yeah, he doesn't have the size within. I think that's what makes a tight end elite, in my opinion. When you're talking about guys like Gronk and George Kittle and Travis Kelce, they all got that crazy size mixed with their speed and athleticism. So I don't understand it.
Well, he falls to the Colts, and the Colts get what they really wanted in this draft, which was a tight end. In every single mock draft I did, they took Tyler Warren or Loveland, and the fact that Loveland went before him, it made it pretty easy to take Tyler Warren, and probably the guy that they preferred, to be honest. So,
Look at those kids at the Tyler Lawrence, Brad Martin. Speaking of kids, this is him in the Little League World Series. I'm gonna need a birth certificate.
So here comes Atlanta. They got a whole bunch of needs as well. I can see them probably going defense here.
He looks more like Andy.
Because they got their offensive weapons. I mean, their O-line isn't the greatest, but they got their offensive weapons. So I see them going defense here because they lose a lot of shootout games. So do you see a corner here? Is this where Jalen Walker goes? What do you think?
I think it's pretty crazy that Jalen Walker's still on this board. But yeah, this is Jalen Walker all day. The only chance of it not being Jalen Walker is Mike Green or Shamar Stewart.
And again, I'd be shocked if one of them go before him because Mikael Williams, it already happened. If it happens again, that'd be crazy.
Like I said, if Jalen Walker had gone in the top 10, I thought Mikael Williams and Mike Green were options. The fact he was still there and we still took Mikael Williams, pretty crazy. But Mikael Williams is the closest thing to Aldon Smith. And maybe the 49ers are going back in time here.
Yeah, it's funny. The second you said Aldon Smith, I was like, holy shit. He does look like Aldon Smith.
He looks a lot like him.
Extremely long arms, tall guy.
Yeah.
And even his get off was kind of like Aldon Smith, where they kind of get up high a little too early, but then they do some shifty move.
I think Aldon Smith was a bit faster than him, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going to check that right now. But I think his 40 was a 4.6. No, man, very, very comparable. Aldon Smith was a 4.74, and he's a 4.77. They're very much alike.
It is exciting. Hey, at the end of the day, you go to a school like Georgia, there's two studs on the defense. It's hard to go wrong with one.
And I told you this a while ago, and the 49ers are going to call Georgia and they're going to ask them, who is the best pass rusher on your squad? Who's the guy that has to go? And chances are they told him Mikael Williams.
Yeah. It's very possible. Like we've talked about before in the past. Jalen Walker, like I don't know how many years has Mikael Williams been starting? Because I know Jalen Walker just started this last year. And up until then he was a third down linebacker. So he hasn't had a crazy amount of play time. I'd like to know how much play time Mikael Williams has.
So I'm just trying to find out Aldon Smith's credentials just so that I can really compare, because to me, they're very much alike. So Aldon Smith was 6'4", 280. He's 6'5", 260. So they are very comparable.
Yeah.
It's an interesting pick, to overlook Jalen Walker. But like I say, these teams have intel. They get to talk to the people in the building in Georgia. And I'm very confident that they were told that Mikael Williams is the better pass rusher, and that's why they went that way.
Yes. So Mikael Williams has 14 sacks in 3 years at Georgia. And
yeah, but he missed a lot of time last year.
He missed 3 games. He
Is
played
that
12.
what he missed?
Yeah, he played 12
Well,
games.
he's probably counting playoffs now.
But he has a good amount of tackle for loss.
He's only 20 years old. That's crazy.
Is he?
Yep.
He's 20 years old. Wow. It's crazy to even think of. I hope that works out. That's extremely impressive for a 20-year-old. I'll tell you that right now. 5 sacks last year with 9 tackle for losses.
That is looking nice. Looking sharp.
6'5", 265. It's a big boy.
Yeah.
If there's any way that the Niners could land Walter Nolan on top of that pick, 49ers defense just dramatically changed.
Yeah. I just don't see it happening. I think
And
Baltimore.
if we can somehow sneak a Deion Walker in the third round, wow.
Yeah.
I think
think the
Deion
Niners-
Walker is the answer to stopping teams from running on us.
I think the Niners would have to trade up here if they wanted Walter Nolan. I don't think he's there for their second round pick. We can't see that happen. But that'd be interesting. I'd like that. Even if we had to give up some draft capital, it wouldn't piss me off because that is a big time player.
Well, I just love the fact that the 49ers understood that they needed to go edge. And, you know, if they follow up with 2D tackles, I mean, they literally drafted the way we hoped.
Yep.
He just might not be the player we expected. And, I mean, at the end of the day, Jalen Walker is the guy that we wanted. But like I say, I think the 49ers have intel, and I think they get into that building and find out who they felt was the best pass rusher in Georgia. And I think the coaches relayed that it was Mikael Williams, and that's what the 49ers were after. They were not typically after a linebacker who could also play edge. And this guy, like, it's actually crazy. I was watching his tape, and I thought to myself, he's Alden Smith, but I didn't realize the measurements and the speed were so close. So, you know, maybe that's what the 49ers saw in him. And you know, Jed York probably is thinking right now, I just drafted Alden Smith all over again.
Yeah.
Conversation happening right now. Terry Fontenot hugging it all around Arizona.
Yeah, I expect right here Jalen Walker.
16th overall. Once that's made, we'll be halfway through the first round.
Yeah, at this point, every pick that goes by where he's still on the board is shocking.
Daniel, looks like you want to say something. I'm just looking at this with Jalen Walker, not only the best available, it fits, you know, a need that they have. But I think back to Houston. Now, Houston did it in one breath. They got C.J. Stroud, they got Will Anderson, they got great players at positions of need, and they were leaders of each side of the ball. This, to me, you get Penix last year. If you come back with Walker this year, let these young guys.
Yeah, this is Walker here.
Remember, those guys were named captains right out of the gate.
I think so too.
Unless they really have Shamar Stewart rated over him. I mean, that would be interesting.
Here's the latest Falcons first rounder.
With the 15th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Jalen Walker, defensive end.
That's their boy.
There he goes.
The Falcons got a good one, man.
The Falcons got a good one.
There's a chance he could drift a little bit, and he fell right to the Atlanta Falcons. What a scenario we've seen with these last two picks. Tyler Warren to the Colts, Jalen Walker here to the Atlanta Falcons. This is someone who reminded me a little of Dante Hightower. If you remember, he could play off the ball, he could play on the ball. He was disruptive no matter where Kirby Smart decided to line him up. For a guy who's only 6'1", he played so much bigger than that. He could set the edge against those big 6'5", 300-pound tackles. You want to rush him off the edge, he can win. He's got legit, when he's healthy, 4.4 speed coming off the edge.
That's the reason why I wanted him, is the fact that he runs a 4.4. It's the closest player to Micah Parsons in terms of speed outside of Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter is Michael Parsons 2.0, if you ask me.
Wow.
It's funny too. They went to the same school. It's just upsetting for me, the fact that, I don't know. I just thought that Jalen Walker playing linebacker and then coming down on the line on third down, and you bring in D Winters on that. It made a lot of sense. But
So let me ask you something. So in 2 years, if we find out that Mikael Williams is just not working out, he's kind of looking like a bust, and Jalen Walker is already emerging as in the top 5 conversation of edge rushers, what do you do about this front office?
Well, I don't think Jalen Walker is going to be an edge rusher per se. I think he's going to play linebacker and as well probably blitz.
Okay, let's say he emerges a clear elite player. What do you do with this front office? Honestly, what do you do?
I mean, you got to – this is what I'll continually say this. I don't think the 49ers are making this draft pick without a lot of good intel. And the intel is telling them that it's Mikael Williams here. Mikael Williams, Daniel Jeremiah said it during the show here. He said that Mikael Williams wouldn't have been available at 11 had he played out the season. So clearly there's a lot of good intel that Mikael Williams is the guy. Now, at the end of the day, any team and every team can miss on any of one of these picks. Injuries is always a scary thing. And this is a guy that has shown injuries in college. And that's a gamble every time you pick a guy that's done that. But like I say, he's a big dude. He's very reminiscent of Alden Smith. And there must have been somebody in the building of Georgia Bulldogs telling them that Mikael Williams is the guy.
Well, I hope they're right, because if they're wrong, that looks bad on the 49ers front office, because I think we both would have picked Jalen Walker. There's a lot of people out there that would have picked Jalen Walker over Mikael Williams. So if they make that wrong decision, like either way you look at it, the Niners just made a ballsy move. They did. They didn't take the player that people expected. When you do that, you're saying that you know something that the public doesn't know, and that's what you're doing. You're making a statement. So if you're wrong again, this is not the year for it. You guys messed up really bad if you're wrong.
Well, the way you got to look at it is a 6'5", 265 edge rusher is a guy that can really set the edge. And then if he's a true pass rusher like an Alden Smith per se, you've really addressed a big need on the 49ers. The 49ers have a big problem in terms of stopping the run right now. We just addressed one problem. Now there's two more on the inside, and I'm hoping those are the next two picks. So as long as the 49ers pick this pick with the intention of not only pass rushing but also helping out with the run, which I do think that's a big part of this pick as well. I think he sets the edge. As a 6'5", 265 edge rusher, it's going to be hard for him to not be able to set the edge as long as he's a physical player. And playing at Georgia, I don't know, man. He's played the best, and he's playing in the biggest games. And clearly, like I say, somebody in that building told them to take him over Jalen Walker. I don't think there's any which way you look at it, that somebody had to have said something in that building to convince them to do that. Other than the fact of their own, obviously, scouting and what they came up with.
Because here comes the Arizona Cardinals, our first divisional team pick. Let's hope they mess up here. So the two corners are still on the board. I know Arizona needs just about every position on the defense there is.
Yeah, I mean, I keep thinking about the Browns and what they did and did, man. Like, you lost out on Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, but you did get Mason Graham. You just got so much paid out. I know for sure it was the fact the trade was on the table was irresistible. I don't think they wanted to lose out on those two players, whoever it was that they were choosing to take. But that trade is irresistible. It really is.
Yeah, especially if Mason Graham works out.
Cardinals select Walter Nolan.
There's Walter Nolan. Wow. They're going earlier than we thought. So that's a good D-tackle right there.
I'm surprised he went over Derek Harmon.
I'm not.
I always think, Charles, you kind of are where you came from in Philadelphia. You look at the trenches here. Big time upfield burst.
Wow.
6'3", 296. He's an absolute beast and he's a physical player.
Yeah, my biggest NFL comparison here, he reminds me of Chris Jones. He's big. His body resembles Chris Jones a lot. And you just can't push this guy back. You just cannot push him back. He's going upfield every single play.
He's not going to be playing nose tackle. This is a 3-technique D tackle. This is a guy that's going to make a lot of plays on the inside.
Yeah.
So Chris Jones is a really good comparable. The Cardinals, the Cardinals picked the right. That's a good pick.
It's a good pick. Like you could call, like you said before, you could call it early all you want, but if you got a good player, you got a good player.
Yeah, and I think this is Derek Harmon all day right here. I think the Bengals are going defense. That's a fact. And I think it's going to be Derek Harmon.
Yeah, I mean, who's left for D tackle? Because Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan are gone.
Yeah, the big three outside of Mason Graham. Two of them are gone. You got Derek Harmon left.
Yeah, they need to stack up that front seven. Their corner wouldn't be horrible for them, but if you can't stop the run, it's tough to play defense. So.
No, the Bengals at the end of the day, they've invested their whole in terms of their salary cap. It's all on offense. So the way you can upgrade your defense is through the draft. Free agency is off the table. They need a hit here on a defensive lineman or a corner maybe, but I'd like to believe it's going to be Derek Harmon. Mike Green is an option here. Shamar Stewart's an option here, but they're going D-line. I don't think it'll be a corner. And all these people that thought Gerard Barron was going to go 10 or better, I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Have they figured out Trey Hendrickson? Like, is he good? Is he cool? He's not leaving the Bengals?
He has permission to seek a trade, and that's strictly money reasons. They can't afford to keep him, and that's why I'm saying they got to address D-line here.
Yeah, so Mike Green and Shamar Stewart making more sense there. I think Harmon. I like Harmon. I do, but in terms of the D tackles that have all gone so far, I like them all more than Harmon. So I do. I believe Harmon is the next D tackle, but it feels a little early. I think they're still.
Derek Harmon at 17. I don't think it's early. I think this is exactly where he falls. I think this is where he's going to go. I would be surprised if they don't pick him.
I don't know. I think I just feel like players like Mike Green and Shamar Stewart are just better. But again, different positions, but I think you're getting more value out of those players.
Well, the fact that Trey Henderson is seeking a trade, so most likely he will not be a Bengal this year. It is possible that you would think they would make the trade during the draft. That's what you would like to believe, but all our hopes and dreams of Brock Purdy being traded, I think, are out the door now. I don't think that's happening anymore.
No. Nope, not happening. So Brock Purdy's going to be paid.
Brock Purdy made a big mistake in terms of showing up or checking in on the OTAs, and the reason why I say that is if your intention is to get signed by the 49ers, you should have never did that.
Think?
Yeah, because now the 49ers believe everything they believed going into this negotiation process, which is that they would own his ass and that he's a good guy and he does everything right and they're going to get their way in the end, and everything is leaning towards that direction.
Yeah, unfortunately, being the good guy in the NFL doesn't work. It doesn't. You showed up. You look like a good leader. You look like a good teammate. You look like the guy who's trying to keep the team happy. But in today's day and age, for some reason, acting like a crybaby like CeeDee Lamb and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, that's what gets you paid.
Who is the biggest surprise pick so far?
I think you have to put the tight end. I think you have to put Colston Loveland at 10. That's crazy.
I agree. That's that, and the trade between the Browns and the Jags. I don't think anybody's seen that coming.
No.
It's funny. You wonder how long was that trade discussed? Like, do you think that trade was made today? I really don't. I think that trade's been discussed for some time, and they executed today for whatever reason. They saved the surprise for today.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's what I think.
Think so?
Yeah. Unless the Browns trade up.
It's just crazy. The Browns could have took Travis Hunter and then traded up for Shedeur Sanders, and that would have been really interesting for them. But they went a different way. I like it for the Browns, but I don't like it for the Browns. So But if Mason Graham works out, it makes it pretty damn good. But if Mason Graham doesn't live up to the name Mason Graham, which we both think is a possibility, the Browns are going to be regretting that. Here comes the Bengals selection.
They're waiting for karaoke that's broken out here. Now the house band is done. We can get the house band. In the 2025 NFL draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Shamar Stewart.
Wow. So Shamar Stewart goes over Mike Green, probably because of off-field problems. And a 4.59. Where is James Pierce going to fall in this draft? Is he going to fall out of the first round?
I don't think so.
I think the guy that's most excited right now has got to be Nick Bosa. I mean, he's been crying for some help.
Yeah.
The Niners address it in the first round.
Yeah, Nick Bosa's a happy man right now, that's for sure. Takes some pressure off him, too.
Yeah, which is something that they needed to do.
Yeah. If Michael Williams could turn into a guy that you need to double team, the Niners, it won't take the Niners too long to look dangerous again. Sometimes all it takes is a premium.
The way you do a quick rebound is addressing D-line and getting pressure on quarterbacks. And the 49ers did their job. They went the right position. Did they get the right guy? You know, that'll remain to be seen. But I think the best pure pass rusher left may have been the guy we've taken and not Jalen Walker. And obviously, the 49ers believe so, and that's why they made that choice. Shamar Stewart's an intriguing player. I mean, I don't like a player that flat out comes and says, I don't really just play for sacks, or sacks are not that important. I think sacks are pretty important when you're playing the edge. But his defense is that he led the nation in pressures, and that is a real thing. A quarterback under pressure, even if he gets it off, sometimes leads to a pick when he's under pressure. You know, 4.5 sacks in a career in college isn't typically a guy that gets picked in the top 20. But again, like I say, if you lead in pressures, that's the way you do it, and clearly it paid off.
Yeah, like what shot me away from this guy is, like you said, when you make a statement like sack, I don't really just play for sacks. Sacks don't matter. It's like, yeah, well, you wouldn't be saying that if you got 15 sacks last year. Right. So just shut up and say you're going to work on finishing, and that's it. Move on.
Well, bottom line is, let's make one thing clear for those who are watching. 49ers did address the edge. They did get a guy that we, you know, like I said, if Jalen Walker wasn't there, that was probably my next guy. So it isn't horrible in the sense that he was right around there. He's just not the guy we expected because Jalen Walker was on the board. But having said that, like I've said a couple times now, I think the 49ers had intel in that building in Georgia, and the intel was the best pure pass rusher on their squad is Mikael Williams. And if that's not what they heard and they just overruled what the other team or what their coaches were saying and just went with their scouts, it's a gamble. But I like to believe that they were told that that's the guy if you're looking for a pure edge rusher.
All right. And again, this guy has a lot of room to improve. He's gonna grow.
He's 20 years old.
Yeah, he's so young. Like if what he's shown in college is a taste of what he's gonna give us in the NFL, that's something to be excited about.
Yeah. I think the Bengals just did themselves a good thing in drafting Shamar Stewart. I mean, you're going to lose Hendrickson to trade. That's pretty clear. And you just got yourself a monster, I think. I mean, obviously, you would like to see some more sacks in college, but like I say, true edge rusher. He gets pressure. He's just got to find a way to complete those pressures into sacks.
Okay, here comes the Seahawks to flip their
So,
organization.
so far, our division rival that's picked is just the Cardinals, and I think they hit it. They hit their pick with Walter Nolan.
I think so too. So here comes the Seahawks, who aren't going to be a threat for at least 30 more years. So let's see what they do.
What do you mean? They got the best quarterback, man.
Oh, I forgot. Sam Darnold's better than Brock Purdy, according to some people.
Yeah, and Sam Darnold's better. I don't even think he's better than the quarterback he replaced.
The Seattle Seahawks select Ray Zabel.
There we go.
There's a one.
Holy crap. Daniel Jeremiah's favorite player in the draft is Gray Zabel. That's a big statement, man.
When he got to the next level with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
6'5", 312.
Left tackle, you can see his movement and his commitment to finishing. He plays, I would say, beyond the echo of the whistle when you watch him. Here he is.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He was dominant against all comers. I've never seen somebody take more reps than he took at this year's Senior Bowl. And when asked about it, he said they kept asking for him. So
It's really interesting when you have a lineman who can play multiple positions. That helps with injuries. That helps with when you have to plug and play players. So that probably shot up his draft stock a lot.
I mean, at the end of the day, the Seahawks need an O lineman, and they get a guy that can play more than one spot. It's not a. It's clearly a good choice. But I'm more concerned with what the Cardinals got, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree. Like the thing with O-line is it's a machine. It's not really where a single player can make a massive difference. As opposed to when you have a D tackle who's an absolute monster, he could make game-changing plays left, right, and center. The O-line has to work as sort of like this. They have to work as a unit. So
that's true, but when you get a center or a left tackle, that's when your offensive line changes. As long as they are, everything you want and more, and that's what they're expecting with Gray Zabel here. This is a guy that can play center. This is a guy that can play guard and even tackle. So, I mean, you're addressing a big need, like you said. If there's an injury that happens and he's got to be the guy to move around, whereas another guy can just play tackle. He can, help the team out in a lot of ways that way. I had Tyler Booker in the 20s. To see him go, as early as 12, I didn't expect that. But there's, as the draft goes, we're just going to keep getting surprised with picks. We got surprised by Colston Loveland. We got surprised by Michael Williams. We got surprised by Booker. We got surprised by the trade. Jalen Walker falling all the way to 15. If you told me that Jalen Walker was going to end up at 15 before this draft, I would have told you you're crazy. But that's the reality of the NFL draft. These scouts have their guys on their board where they have them, and they have their reasons for that. And, the 49ers had Mikael Williams as the guy to get, obviously, because a lot of people would expect Jalen Walker to be gone. And the fact he was there and we still took Mikael Williams tells you that's the guy they wanted regardless.
Yeah. So you're thinking Shedeur Sanders goes to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I would be surprised if Pittsburgh passes up a quarterback here. I mean, they got Skylar Thompson. That's a guy that's proven to not be able to do it. You've seen what he did in Miami. And Miami's probably a better situation than Pittsburgh for offense.
Yeah. Like, quarterback is just such a tough thing because if I'm a GM in the NFL and I really desperately need a quarterback like the Steelers do, just because I'm in this situation, if I don't believe in the guy, I'm not taking him. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I don't dispute that, but
I mean, this is a guy that a lot of people at one point thought he could go first overall.
Like, he dropped for like, I know his attitude is the reason he's dropped somewhat. There's other things like where I know he has a cocky, people saying he's really cocky.
I would say the only reason why he dropped was his arm strength. One, his physical abilities aren't that great.
No, he's just
the other thing too, like, I don't know, man. You're going to invest. So Cam Ward played at Miami. He played at Colorado. Still a good enough school to take a first overall guy as long as he's the guy or first round guy or whatever. I just don't think teams felt like he was everything they wanted and more. And you know, when you're going to invest your first round pick, you got to be right when you're picking a quarterback. A lot of teams have picked quarterbacks in the first round and been disappointed, and for whatever reason, teams have come to the conclusion that Shedeur Sanders is not a first round pick. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I just agree with that conclusion, to be honest. There he is. They're showing him on the screen currently, chilling, laughing.
You disagree with the conclusion that he isn't or isn't a first round?
That he is a first round pick. Deion Sanders Jr.
Well, right now the conclusion is he's not a first round pick because he's falling and he keeps falling. So
yeah, so I'm agreeing with that. Deion Sanders Jr. says the rejected will not be rejected.
He's referring to his son falling. Well, as of right now, 18 teams rejected Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, all those 18 teams don't need a quarterback, but that's what he's implying.
The rejected will be respected. Is Deion Sanders Jr., does he have a son named Deion? I don't think that's the dad.
No, they're talking about Shedeur.
No, I get that, but Deion Sanders Jr. is the one that tweeted it. Does Deion have a son named Deion?
Well, he must be.
Let's find out together.
Let's see who the Bucks take here.
We're going to take my team.
With the 19th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Emeka Egbuka.
Wow.
Receiver.
Wow. They went wide receiver. They got Mike Williams, or they got Mike Evans, and they got that.
They just paid Chris Godwin,
but they got McMillan too.
They got McMillan too, and McMillan.
McMillan started to come on at the end of the year. I'm very surprised with that pick.
Mm-hmm. That is an interesting pick. I mean, Mike Evans is still great, but he is coming near the end. He's dealing with more injuries. Still a surprising pick.
Yeah, okay, so.
But there's the Ohio State guy. Surprised no LSU receivers this year.
No.
Interesting.
How is important? You know why? The brotherhood. That's what they call their position room. And no one personifies the brotherhood better.
I was pretty damn surprised with that pick. I'm not gonna lie.
It's kind of watching him kind of just instantly reminded me of Monroe.
Well, I don't doubt that the guy's a good talent, but I mean, like, the need for the Bucks to be going wide receiver is very strange.
Yeah, that is kind of shocking.
Because I like McMillan, and obviously I like Mike Evans and Godwin. Even their tight end is pretty good. Like, why are they going wide receiver?
Yeah, that's interesting. Baker Mayfield's a happy guy right now.
I don't know, man. I don't think he should be happy. I think the Bucks need to just keep upgrading that defense. But every GM has his own mind, and the Bucks wanted to go wide receiver after maybe Godwin got hurt, and they're worried about his status coming into this year. But I don't know. If I was the Bucks, I wouldn't have wide receiver as my number one draft pick.
Yeah. Unless they think he's the clear best player available, and they kind of just took him based off that, not need. That makes sense. But then again, I don't know how you ever just take best player available when every team has certain needs.
I think the Bucks here are going Derek Harmon. I mean, the Broncos. They're going to go Derek Harmon. Who do they have playing at edge? They could go Mike Green.
They lost DJ Jones, correct? Where did DJ Jones end up?
No, they brought him back.
Did they? Okay, so hitting with Harmon would be pretty sick.
Verizon Small Business Days are back.
DJ Jones was a pleasant surprise for the 49ers. And then obviously when it's time to pay these guys, we let them go. It's almost like the 49ers just have so many good players they can't even afford to keep them if they wanted to at times.
Well, yeah, during that golden age not too long ago, it did seem like that for sure. And obviously this year, because we've had a good roster for so long, avoiding paying out the money that it just came collapsing this year.
Well, I think the Broncos are going defense, and their defense is freaking scary, man. They got Dre Greenlaw from the Niners. They got Funga from the Niners. And that's adding on to a defense that was like top 3 in the league. So
yeah,
they either go O-line here. Could they go receiver? I mean, they got Cortland Sutton. They've got some guys.
I don't know who's left at receiver here that's worth it for this pick. I know there's, like, in terms of offense. No.
Be interesting to see who the Broncos take. I'm actually interested because I think the Broncos are going to be a surprise team this year. It does kind of make sense to go receiver, actually, to assist Cortland Sutton.
I agree.
And Bo Nix. I think their defense is pretty established. Obviously, they can afford another D tackle like Derek Harmon or another edge player like Mike Green. But
how shocking is that Will Johnson, Barron haven't gone yet?
Yeah, that's true too. And a guy that they could take too is a running back here. He could technically take Hampton out of North Carolina.
Yeah. I don't know. I think best player. Would you agree that best player available right now is Will Johnson?
I think Mike Green is the best player available. I think his issue is his off-field problems. The guy's coming off a 17-sack season. That's not very common. And he's done everything right on the field. It's just been issues off the field.
You're right. Yeah, I could agree with that. Mike Green, Will Johnson are definitely
Mike Green, Will Johnson, Barron. I feel like there's one more edge player I'm forgetting. And Derek Harmon, too. I mean, Derek Harmon's a good player to take here, too.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, if Derek Harmon somehow fell to 43, I would be absolutely shocked. And that would be a fantastic pick for the 49ers. You know for sure they'd take him. They went and visited Oregon. They loved him. And they love Oregon players in San Francisco, and they happen to do well in San Francisco. So that would be a dream come true, getting Derek Harmon in the second round. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Let's not forget here, like, coming up with at this end of the first round, it's not impossible for the Niners to move up about 10 spots here, 12 spots, and sneak back into this first round. You don't have to give up.
What would it cost the 49ers to say get to like the 28th pick from the 43rd pick?
It would cost the 43rd pick. It would cost
anything more than a third round pick. It's too much. It just is because like I
agree.
say, the 49ers are in needs here. It's not like, like teams before in the past where we could afford to lose a pick and go after a guy because we were so stacked. This is not the roster for that. The 49ers are in need, and they can't afford to lose picks.
Right. I think the only thing that would make sense is if they're in love with a player still available, if they gave up next year's second round pick and this year's second round pick to move into that late first round spot. I don't know if that'd be enough, but if it's anything more than that, I don't see it as worth it. But I think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Like a team like the Bills or Washington to move back 11 spots to gain a second round pick this year. I don't find that crazy.
So the Broncos are up, and the Broncos are going to select.
Jahdae Barron.
Yeah. So they're going to go. These guys are going defense heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought they'd want to help out Bo Nix some more, but I mean, there is another way of helping out Bo Nix, and that's putting him on the field a lot.
Yeah. So, from my understanding, Jahdae Barron goes before Will Johnson here because Jahdae Barron didn't deal with the injuries that Will Johnson dealt with last year. Nothing major, just minor injuries that I believe caused Will Johnson to miss a couple of games. Another thing is that Will Johnson just started last year. Obviously had a takeoff year, but it was his first year starting. I think Jahdae Barron's a little more established, but I think the higher ceiling is Will Johnson. And Jahdae Barron just looks more like a safer pick.
Well, one thing's for sure, they are going defense heavy in Denver, and the Broncos defense is to be recognized. That's a scary defense. And they already have Surtain at quarterback corner, and now you just added Barron. And they got some safeties over there, and Simmons and Hufanga and Greenlaw at linebacker, and DJ Jones on the D tackle position. I don't know why it's not coming to my head. Who's playing edge over there? They also got Nick Benito. That's another good player. Zach Allen is another big player on the inside. These guys are.
Yeah, they got some players on the defense.
It's Dre Greenlaw that hurts. I hate even seeing it on the screen. It bothers me.
Yeah, man.
Imagine the Niners still held on to Greenlaw and you just got that edge player. Now it would look pretty damn good.
Yeah, so you're thinking Shedeur can go here.
This is the pick for Shedeur Sanders. I would be shocked if he gets past this. Then it just means he's not a first-round pick. Shedeur Sanders is not a Pittsburgh Steeler. He is falling out of the first round. Ike Taylor is in the war room. Big fan of Ike Taylor's game. This is a really good situation for Shedeur to go to Pittsburgh. It's a good thing for him if he falls this far. It's a good situation. It's much better than, any of those earlier teams had he gone to them.
Yeah. I mean, you're stepping into a franchise with an elite defense right off the hop. You don't have the best weapons around you, but you aren't. I actually can't say that at all. They got DK Metcalf and George Pickens, so that is a serious situation to step into. You got two deep threats right off the bat.
They keep showing Shedeur, but that phone is not ringing, so this is interesting.
I don't think it's Shedeur. I think Shedeur falls out of the first round, and it doesn't boggle my mind. I don't know, but yeah, like if Shedeur doesn't go here, he's not.
If you go a Steelers pick here, it's going to be Jahad Campbell at linebacker. It's going to be Derek Harmon.
Yep, I like Campbell a lot. You can't forget that's an Alabama style.
And if if J.J. Watt is really going to get dealt, then there's a possibility they go Mike Green too.
Yeah. This is an interesting pick here.
They got people in the stadium in Pittsburgh watching this.
Yeah, that's
And outside the stadium, there's a huge party over there.
Here we go, Steelers. Derek Harmon. Wow, that sucks.
Yeah. I didn't see him falling out of the first round anyway, so no surprise there.
I think the biggest surprise is that not one of the D tackles fell. I think we all would have guessed at least one of them.
So Tylik Williams is the next top D tackle left.
That's what I think. Your boy Dion Walker almost like to this guarantee he goes second round now. Because really he might be one of the best available D tackles too.
But they don't have him ranked that high, so I don't know. Maybe teams view him the way I do, and he goes earlier.
Yeah, I think that's what's up. These D tackles are flying off the board. All the ones we loved are gone by pick 21. It's crazy. So what are the Niners thinking right now? Does this put some pressure on them to take a D tackle for sure in their second round pick? I can't hear you.
Sorry, go ahead.
What do you think about this? Is this putting some serious pressure on the Niners to use that second round pick on a D tackle now for sure?
I mean, honestly, it's very unfortunate that all the guys that we wanted at D tackle in the second round are already gone. I'm not surprised on a bunch of them, but I did think there was a chance that you could get Walter Nolan in the later round of the first round, and I said the same thing about Kenneth Grant, but they ended up going before Derek Harmon. Derek Harmon was always projected between 17 and 22, so where he went is not where it was expected. It just sucks. Like I say, Mason Graham's gone, Walter Nolan's gone, Kenneth Grant's gone, and now you got Derek Harmon gone. So I think if the 49ers really want to address D tackle, yeah, they might have to move up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the question is who do you go and get if you're going to go aggressive? Is it going to be Tylik Williams? You're going to go aggressive for Tylik Williams?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I think you have to let the player that drops you not drop. But I think this is forcing them to take a D tackle.
It is true because of how many are off the board. Now they have to address D tackle before they lose any of the effective ones.
Right. Like at the end of the day, you can say the draft's deep all you want, and it might be true, but there's ones more desirable than others. And the Niners are a team that needs a desirable. Chargers probably going defense here. They're probably not happy that those D tackles are gone either. I could have seen them.
That's for sure. They wanted D tackle, and all of them are gone.
Yep.
But that's the thing. When you know there's a difference makers, you don't necessarily wait because right now there's some teams sitting at 22, 23 that are just in shock that they're not going to land one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's true, that's how you know the teams that have taken them have made the right choice.
Yeah. Who's that D tackle out of Texas again?
Alfred Collins.
Yeah, Alfred Collins is still. You think he'll drop to us? At this point, it's hard to say.
I think the 49ers are interested in Harmon a lot. Alfred Collins is an option, and so is Tylik Williams. So it's hard to say. I mean, lot of teams want D tackle. It's a big need, and this is a draft that's like D tackle heaven. It's just now, I think the guys that were expected to go at this point in time are all gone.
Yeah.
So Tyler Williams is probably the last guy that I see going in this round. If there is a D tackle to go, it's going to be him. I think the Packers are going to get Will Johnson. Unless these guys take Will Johnson right here, because they did let go of yeah, I bet Harbaugh's disappointed that both Michigan D tackles are gone. Obviously expected Mason Graham to be gone, but I don't think he expected Kenneth Grant to be gone at 14, or what was it?
Yeah, early. Yeah, Kenneth Grant for 13. Crazy.
I'm excited about one thing. I'm excited the fact that the closest guy looking to Alden Smith, the most similar guy to Alden Smith, we drafted him.
Yeah.
He is 6'5", he's 260. That's an edge problem. Like, that is going to be hard to run on his side.
Yeah. It's true.
Bottom line is the Niners addressed the big need, and the one that we wanted them to start with, they did that. So, sure, it wasn't Jalen Walker, but again, if you're trying to get like a complete D end, it does probably make more sense to go with Mikael Williams. He's a bigger guy. He's long, he's rangy, and he gets around the edge. He's still able to make plays like a Jalen Walker, just in a different way. And Jalen Walker is probably going to play linebacker in this league with, the abilities of being able to rush the quarterback through blitzing and maybe on third down. So I think the 49ers, who knows, maybe they made the right choice. Time will tell.
Yeah. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. It was fun. It's interesting to see how the first round play out, and the second round starts at 12 o'clock tomorrow. So I'll be checking my phone to see who the Niners take. I'm excited, and maybe we'll do a show tomorrow after it's all said and done.
Sounds good. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and take care.
Peace.